got a chance to be at the top of this division today. Let's go out here and show these people our confidence and our swagger today. When I say who are we, you say Saints. When I say are we ready, you say who? Who are we? Who are we? Who are we? Who are we?
This is Sharper. He gone. He gone. He gone. He's in the end zone. Leaping grab at the goal line. Marcus Colston with a great grab at the goal line, and he's in the end zone for the second time today. Handoff Bell. Bell running behind Evans. Up, over, and in. He's in. Pierre Tabas scores. Ball's loose in the end zone. Saints fight for it. Good afternoon once again, everybody, from the Louisiana Superdome. This is Jim Henderson. In forecasting today, we rely on what yesterday tells us. And yet, in the NFL, come playoff time, the past may be prologue to the future, but seldom truly indicative of it. You only have to look at last Sunday's overtime victory by the Cardinals over the Packers to find a number of examples. The Cardinals entered the postseason as the only team in it with a negative turnover differential at -7. Against the Packers, they create 3 turnovers and are +2 in victory. The Cardinals were 28th in the NFL's regular season rushing the football. The Packers had the best run defense in the NFL. In victory, the Cardinals rushed for 156 yards, nearly twice what the Packers were surrendering per game, and the most they have given up all season. Aaron Rodgers had only been sacked 6 times in the Packers' final 9 regular season games. The Cardinals drop him 5 times in the loss. Cardinal kicker Neil Rackers comes into the game connecting on 16 of 17 field goal attempts in the regular season, 94% best in the NFL. He hadn't missed inside 40 yards all year. Against the Packers, he hooks a 34-yarder wide left that would have won the game in regulation. The only thing history tells us with any certainty is to expect the unexpected today. The only thing no one can tell us with any certainty is what that unexpected will be. And the pregame show will continue after these messages on the New Orleans Saints Radio Network. Congratulations to them all. You wouldn't want to be any other place than right here, right now. Back deep for the Arizona Cardinals, who have won the toss and will defend the goal to our right. The Gerard Street goal are Stevens Howling and Jason Wright. Stevens Howling, the primary kickoff returner. A backup running back. Returned 52 in the regular season, averaging 24.2 yards a return, and took one back 99 yards for a touchdown. Thomas Morstead has returned to his kickoff duties. Let's get the party started. And we do with this. This line drive kickoff by Morstead. Howling returns it from 1 yard deep in the end zone. He's back to the 10, the 15, and the 20. He's got some running room at the 25. He's to the 30 and dropped at the 30-yard line. Taken down there by Pearson Prelo after a 32-yard return.
Well, kind of the problem with that kickoff right there, even though it went into the end zone about a yard deep, is a knuckleball line drive, and that doesn't give your coverage unit time to get down the field. That's why the Cardinals were able to come out and have a pretty decent return. You take it at the 30-yard line any day of the week.
So that great game that Kurt Warner had a week ago in defeating the Packers in overtime, throwing more touchdowns than he did in completions, 5 touchdowns to 4 incompletions. He brings his offense up to the 30-yard line. One running back behind him, that's Hightower. Wideouts left and right. In motion, it's Breston. He'll hand it off. Hightower running right side to the 40, 45, 50. Midfield, they've done it again to the 30, 25, 20, 15, 10. 5 touchdown, and for the second week in a row, the Saints have been burned by a big run early, and just seconds into this game after a 70-yard touchdown, the Cardinals take a 6-0 lead.
And Jim, don't think that Ken Wisenhunt was not aware of that. I mean, this has been going on since the second half of the season, that teams are able to break an early game long run against the Saints. And right there, Saints run defense just broke down once again, the Saints are behind the 8 ball. Only good thing about that is it only took a few seconds off the clock. Here it is, 14:41 in this ball game. So, now you're going to put Drew Brees and company out there and see if they can respond.
19 seconds into it. The Cardinals with Neil Rackers adding the extra point, and the Saints trail 7-0. And they ran it right at that left defensive end position, the same position in which Charles Grant was victimized in the Carolina game.
Okay, but you can't just blame it right there on the fact that Charles Grant is not in there. Where are your linebackers? Where are your safety? You kind of had to figure, if you're the Saints defense, that, holy cow, people have been breaking long runs on us early in the ball game for weeks upon week now, and you got to get up there. Somebody's got to come in there and fill those lanes. Well, one thing is kind of let this crowd here in the Superdome catch their breath a little bit and say, all right, come on, we just got to settle down right now and get back to playing our football.
Is it a matter of over pursuit?
Jim, who's to know? I mean, that was just a gaping hole right there that Hightower went to. I don't know that it was over pursuit. Somebody just getting tackled, not tackled, but blocked and pinned to the inside. But those are the kind of things that happen. You get out here and you get yourself caught up in a feeding frenzy of a ball game when the crowd is loud, everything's going, everybody wants to try and do something more special than what their play assignment calls for.
Well, in their last 4 games, the Saints have allowed 569 yards on 108 carries for the opposition. So this is a disturbing trend that continues, but an awful long way to go as the kickoff will be fielded down at the 2-yard line by Courtney Roby. He's to the 20, up to the 25, and tackled as he crosses the 25 up to around the 27-yard line. Give him 30 yards on the return. Make that 24 yards on the return as he is stopped at the 28-yard line. Taken down by Jeremy Urban, a backup wide receiver. So the Saints find themselves in an early hole, trying to dig themselves out from a 7-0 deficit. Hokie comes in motion, backs in an eye, gives to the tailback. And this is Pierre Thomas, who's taken down right around the line of scrimmage. Pinching in is Calais Campbell from his left defensive end position. Campbell, a second-year man out of Miami, playing with a thumb injury. That's just a 1-yard gain. So as we settle back, 14 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in the first quarter, and the Saints trailing 7-0. This is 2nd and 9 from his 29-yard line for Brees, who goes to the shotgun for the first time. Cardinals bring 4. Here's a throw to Lance Moore, who's hit immediately right around the 36-yard line. Lance Moore returning to the lineup. That's a 7-yard reception. He's taken.
Instead of going, oh my gosh, we're down by 7 points, we got to start throwing the ball down the field.
This has been a problem for the Saints in the last 3 games. Just 9 of 31 on third down conversions, 29%. 3rd and 2 from the 36-yard line, and it's an empty backfield with 5 wide for Brees, who throws, catch made. Hokie, 41-yard line, Saints first down. Wrestled down by the free safety, and Trell Roll. That is a 6-yard gain.
Well, Jeremy Hokie gets up off the ground right here. You can see he's having a few words with Roll just to kind of let Antron Rill know that, hey, I'm here all game long. And, I've been missing a bunch of playing time here the last couple of weeks. I'm out here to play.
Zach Streif checks in for additional blocking help. So the Saints convert their first down of this game with 12:47 to play, and the Saints trailing 7-0. One back, that is Pierre Thomas. In motion, it is Hokie, who was split out wide to the left. Here's Brees throwing downfield, and it's overthrown to Hokie at the 38-yard line.
There's a flag on the other side of the field, Jim. I think it's going to be the Cardinals are in the neutral zone.
Offside. Defense number 56 in the neutral zone at the snap. 5-yard penalty. It remains first down.
That's Chike O'Keefer playing at the right outside linebacking position, the 11th-year man out of Purdue, Drew Brees' alma mater. And so that will make it a 1st and 5 for the Saints up at their 47-yard line. Hokie and Thomas lined up to the left side. Thomas comes in motion and joins Colston on the near side. Here's the pitch out to Reggie Bush, running right side. He's into Cardinal territory, takes on a tackler, and has the first down as he's pushed out of bounds in front of the Saints bench. And all of his teammates and those who are inactive come over off the bench to congratulate him and are really thrown backward by some of the Saints assistant coaches. That's a 12-yard gain and a Saint first down. Dominique Rogers-Cromartie forces him to the boundary. There's a really good block thrown out in front of him by John Stinchcomb.
And that's about as physical a run as you'll see Reggie Bush make right there. He gets over on the boundary, lowers his pad, and actually runs over the defensive back.
1st and 10 Saints from the Cardinals 46. 12 minutes to play. Opening quarter. Saints trail 7-0. Backs in an eye, play action. Breeze trying to set up the screen and is tipped and incomplete. In his face was Clark Hagens, the left outside linebacker on the near side, and he got his hand up and deflected that screen pass that appeared to be being set up for Pierre Thomas.
Need I say more?
No, you needn't.
Well, I thought that was a New Year's resolution. We weren't going to run that play anymore, but apparently I was wrong.
So it is 2nd and 10 from the Cardinal 46. 12 minutes remaining. Opening quarter. The Saints finding themselves on the short end of a 7-0 score as Tim Hightower ran 70 yards on his first carry of the day. Here's Breeze out of the shotgun. Nothing doing downfield. Dumps it off underneath. Down to the 30 to the 29-yard line. It's Marcus Colston before Antrell Roll brings him down. Breeze had time to survey the secondary. Chose Colston as the target. Good for 18 yards and a Saint first down.
Well, you can kind of see here, Jim, even on some of these first couple of plays. Now, in this case right here, the Saints don't need to leave a back or a tight end to chip on people, but the Cardinals have got a little bit of pressure on Dree in some of the earlier throws that they made. Right there, you see that the Cardinals just come with a 4-man rush. Drew's got time to look down the field, but I think that is a conscious effort by Sean Payton that he's going to make sure that a back or a tight end at least hesitates a little bit before they release into the route.
1st and 10 from the 29. Running out of the ace formation to Reggie Bush. Nothing doing right side. Explodes back in the other direction. Inside the 20 down to the 18-yard line. And another Saint first down, it would appear, as Reggie Bush shows his quickness. That's good for 10 yards.
Well, you know, in years past, Reggie Bush would have tried to probably reverse this all the way around the field. Right now, he said, no, man, the heck with that. I got to go north and south, and it results in a first down. And, man, Reggie, that's all anybody's asking you to do.
1st and 10 Saints at the Cardinal 18-yard line as the Saints try to answer the Cardinal touchdown with one of their own. The Saints have thrown it 4 times, run it 3 times. 1st and 10, Cardinal 18-yard line. Backs in an eye. Breeze pumps, throws. He's got Shockey at the 5, and he's taken down there. Jeremy Shockey, who'd been out of the lineup, returns with a bang. That's good for 13 yards and another Shockey reception, and that was one of the things people talked about all week long. What would Jeremy Shockey returning to this offense mean? So far, it's been a lot.
Yeah, and right here, Jim, he's not lined up at the tight end, the regular tight end spot. He's lined up as a wide receiver.
1st and goal from the 5-yard line. Saints will hurry things up. Give it to Pierre Thomas, left side.
Get in.
Breaks one tackle. He's down to about the 1-yard line. Pierre Thomas struggles forward for 4 yards, playing with those damaged ribs, and the strong safety Adrian Wilson takes him down. But that will bring up 2nd and 1 from the 1-yard line. Streif is going to check in once more for additional blocking help. Eckel is in there as a fullback, and Pierre Thomas is the running back. Now he is replaced by Lionel Hamilton. 2nd and goal from the 1-yard line. Everybody in tight. The running back is Hamilton. Thomas goes in motion right to left. Give it off. Hamilton right side, and he is in for the touchdown. Lionel Hamilton on a 1-yard touchdown dive, running behind Jari Evans and John Stinchcomb. And with the extra point, the Saints will have answered and tied this at 7.
Well, and the one thing that the Saints didn't do, they did not use Mike Bell on that first series right there. It was Reggie Bush, it was Pierre Thomas, it was Lionel Hamilton for the final carry right there. And I know that Mike Bell is really the guy that they really like to give it to down there close to the goal line. But the Saints answered that early big play by the Cardinals. They're marching it down the field and getting it in the end zone.
Kyle the snap it. Brunell puts it down. Garrett Hartley's extra point is up and through. And with 9:17 to go in the first quarter, this has all the earmarks of the shootout so many people expected it to be. It's the Cardinals 7 and the Saints 7. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
News, talk, and sports leader, WWL.
Welcome back to a wild and crazy Superdome with two wild and crazy guys. Hokie guys, young Jim Henderson, and the third member of our group, Kristian Garrick. What you got, Kristian?
After the Saints answered with that touchdown, that's what the bench said over to the offense is, hey, way to answer back, way to answer back. And then defense got together and said to each other, make them earn it. Make them earn their yards. Don't just give them points. Make them earn it if they're going to get them.
Cardinals score on their first play. Saints score on their first drive. 72 yards in 10 plays in 5 minutes and 24 seconds. A 1-yard touchdown plunge by Lionel Hamilton. Stevens Howling awaits this kickoff by Morstead. This one is higher and deeper. 4 yards deep. He'll bring it out to the 5. He's to the 10. Up to the 15, and he'll be dropped at the 17-yard line. As the Saints converge, and Usama Young is one of those down there leading the charge. That's a 22-yard return. The Cardinals touch it for the second time when we return with 9:12 to play. Opening quarter. It's Arizona 7 and New Orleans 7. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
Like what you heard on WWL? Check out the podcast at WWL.com.
Today's game is brought to you by SouthCoastSolar.com. Dependable, renewable energy.
And a lot of celebrities here today. Fats Domino on the sideline. Brad Pitt is here. Patricia Clarkson, Spike Lee. You're all in town to see this one. And I'm with the Brad Pitt of the North Shore here in Hokie Divisional. I hope you can hear me because this place is getting loud. First and 10 from the Cardinal 18. Warner in the shotgun. Saints twist up front. Warner throws over the middle. Completion up to the 40. Ball comes free. Saints are going to pick it up. This is Sharper bringing it back. Leaps over a tackler. Breaks the tackle at the 40, and he's down to the 37-yard line.
Late flag, Jim. There's a late flag down there. It looks like one of the couple of Saints. Now, come on, guys. Now, don't get crazy down there. It looks like Bobby McRae in the middle of that. The Saints will still have the ball, but I think it was McRae that maybe had a late hit at the end of that run.
That was Jeremy Urban on the reception. Ball was jarred free. Darren Sharper brought it back. There are 2 flags down around the 25-yard line.
And I believe they're both for the same thing, Jim. Whoever started that altercation down there, I can see Bobby McRae was part of it, but I was watching the return. Didn't exactly see what happened, who initiated what is probably going to be an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty.
I think that was Randall Gay who stripped the ball, and he did. He tomahawked the ball out of the grasp of Jeremy Urban.
After the play was over, there are 3 fouls on the play.
3 fouls.
Personal foul, 76. Offense. Personal foul, 73. Personal foul, 91. Defense. This penalty is offset by rule. First down, New Orleans.
Well, the Cardinals get a 2-for-1. Deuce Latouille and Jeremy Bridges guilty of the fouls for the Cardinals. And it was Will Smith responding for the Saints.
And let's go right down to Kristian Garrick with the River Parish Disposal Saints sideline report.
Yeah, Will Smith got called for the personal foul there, but he was retaliating. I saw it. A Cardinal player, I didn't catch his number, hit him, and he was just retaliating. But as often the case, the guy retaliating usually gets the flag.
Well, Darren Sharper, that man on the spot once more as the Saints get the turnover. They came into this game plus 11 during the regular season, and the first turnover of this game goes to the Saints at the Cardinal 37-yard line.
Well, Jim, on the Saints' first offensive possession, that was the first time they'd scored on the opening drive since Week 7 versus Atlanta. So right now the Saints got an opportunity to possibly score on their first 2 drives with being in good field position.
Now the Saints opened in 5 wide, and it was the back judge who threw a flag as it looked like the play clock had expired.
Timeout, New Orleans.
But Drew Brees got the timeout called just before that clock did expire. We'll step away as well with 9 minutes remaining in a very exciting first quarter. It's the Cardinals 7 and the Saints 7. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
Listen to Rayleigh Alford.
Every child deserves a high-quality education, and we started our Partners for Education initiative to promote excellence in local schools. We're proud of the Saints' outstanding performance, and we're also proud to continue our initiative by making a donation this week to International High School of New Orleans.
Stanley, Reuter, Ross Thornton, and Alford, business litigators for New Orleans and the Gulf South region.
Join Tommy Tucker for the night shift, weeknights 8 to midnight on WWL.
And let's go right down to Kristian Kristian Garrick with a River Parish Disposal State Sideline Report. Gomer, what you got?
After Drew Brees called that timeout, he went over to the head official, to the referee. He was expecting the game clock to restart, and then, of course, he forced him to use that timeout.
1st and 10 Saints. Cardinal 37 as they try to take advantage of the turnover. The fumble by Urban, the recovery by Sharper. Backs in an eye, tailback is Thomas. Gets the call left side. Eckel blocking in front, and he's tripped up at the 30-yard line. Had more running room than that. But that's an excellent first down carry of 8 yards by Pierre Thomas, returning off those bruised ribs.
You know, and we're so accustomed to seeing Pierre Thomas make contact and continue a yard. Right there, he just gets tripped up at the ankles, and that's all it was.
2nd and 2 at the 29. The Saints trying to set the tempo and getting up to the line of scrimmage quickly. Thomas again, left side, and this is stacked up, and he is swarmed over and thrown backward right around the line of scrimmage. No gain appreciably on the play.
That Kyle Eckel coming out of the game kind of holding his right arm down like he's got some kind of stinger or something on the right-hand side there. As he comes to the sidelines, he's holding his right hand.
Yeah, he is. And he's the only fullback available, though David Thomas often lines up in that position. Give Pierre Thomas 1 yard on the carry, and it brings up 3rd and 1 at the Cardinal 28. It's a long one. Reggie Bush is split out wide to the left along with Colston. To the near side, it's Thomas, Henderson, and Shockey. 5 wide. Breeze throws, and it's caught by Colston. Left side, first down. Forced to the boundary. They will spot him down at the 17-yard line. That's a pickup of 11, and the Saints continue to march. Drew Brees is having a lot of time to look over that Cardinals secondary.
And that's not a good thing. I mean, it's just one of those things that you got to put pressure on him just like you do with Kurt Warner. And let's go right down to Kristian Garrick.
Okay, real quickly on Kyle Eckel, you're exactly right. Just a little stinger there. They were having to move around, put pressure on his shoulders. He's back up off the bench, move around. They should be okay.
1st and 10 Saints. Cardinals 17-yard line. 7:17 to play opening quarter. We're tied at 7. 5 wide again for Breeze, who stands in the shotgun. Calls for the football. Cardinals bring 4. Here's Breeze stepping up. Can't find anybody. Now he throws at the goal line, and it is caught. Caught for the touchdown by Shockey. A brilliant throw by Breeze, who zipped that football in at the goal line. Shockey coming down with a 17-yard touchdown reception, and the Saints take the lead for the first time today.
And with that touchdown pass, the Breeze Green Foundation was energized by South Coast Solar with another $150 donation. South Coast Solar, dependable, renewable energy. SouthCoastSolar.com. Look at the amount of time Drew Brees had there to step up into the pocket. A lot of quarterbacks would have panicked and run right there, and he had room to run, but he said, I trust my guys downfield. He goes to Shockey and puts it in the end zone.
Hartley adds the extra point. Breeze was looking to his right, came back to the left. There was Shockey, who had beaten Adrian Wilson at the goal line. And with 7:02 to play in the first quarter, the Saints have taken a 14-7 lead. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
Let's go right down to Kristian Garrick with a River Parish Disposal State Sideline Injury Report. What you got, Kristian?
Jeremy Shockey coming off the field. They were looking at his knee. They got a sleeve on it now. He looks to be all right. He's not in a great deal of pain, but he looks to be all right. And again, the Saints trainers put a sleeve on that knee.
We'll keep an eye on that. Shockey, 3 receptions for 36 yards here midway through the first quarter, including that 17-yard touchdown. Saints take advantage of the turnover, the first one they have forced since the interception against Tampa Bay in the third quarter of that game. Stevens Howling returning from the 1-yard line, the Morstead kickoff. He's back to the 15, near side 20, still on his feet, 25, up to the 30 and dropped at the 31-yard line. Pearson Prelo was there along with Troy Evans. 31 yards on the return as we pause 10 seconds for station identification on the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
The news, talk, and sports leader. The Big 870 WWL New Orleans, 105.3 WWL FM Kenner New Orleans, and WWL.com.
You think Drew Brees hasn't gotten off to a hot start? 6 of 7 for 72 yards and the touchdown. Arizona's offense has consisted of 2 plays and 98 yards. The 70-yard Hightower run and then the fumble after the reception by Urban. 1st and 10, Arizona from the Cardinal 31-yard line. Handing off on the play, and the ball comes loose. Warner tries to get it. There's a scramble for it at the 27-yard line as there was a missed exchange with Warner handing the ball off to Beanie Wells. Fortunately for the Cardinals, they were able to fall on it back at the 28-yard line for a loss of 3.
It almost looked like Beanie Wells might have gotten confused right there. Kurt Warner looked like he was going to fake that little bubble screen to the outside and then hand it off on a semi-draw. Wells wasn't ready for the football.
Well, if they're having a hard time with crowd noise, you can understand why. 2nd and 13 for the Cardinals from their 28-yard line. Warner in the shotgun. Saints bring 3. Here comes Fujita belatedly and gets to him, and the ball is thrown wide and incomplete. Sharper drawn a bead on that football, but Warner was dropped on a belated blitz by Scott Fujita, causing the off-target throw.
And that's the whole thing that we've kind of been harping on all week. It's not necessarily get the sack. Get in there and pressure him, get in his face, and make him make that errant throw.
Larry Fitzgerald was the intended receiver. Will Smith was bringing pressure as well. 3rd and 13 for the Cardinals from their 28-yard line, and the roof is about ready to come off this place. And Warner can't even make himself heard in the huddle. He's going to call timeout and head to the sideline. 6:13 to play, opening quarter. Saints 14 and the Cardinals 7. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
6 to 10 on WWL.
3rd and 13 for the Cardinals from their 28-yard line. Greg Williams was huddling with his linebackers during the timeout. And the Saints right now will go with 3 defensive linemen as they try to prevent some of the big plays that the Cardinals have gotten here already.
You know, and that's one thing that the Saints have struggled with the last few weeks is being able to get off the field on 3rd down, especially when it's been 3rd and long.
Fitzgerald and Urban wide to the right, to the near side. It's Breston along with Early Doucette. Kurt Warner goes to the shotgun, calls for the football. Fujita comes up to the line of scrimmage like he might be blitzing again. Warner calls for the football, and Fujita is blitzing once more. Steps up is Warner, completes the pass to Doucette, and he is swarmed over short of the 35-yard line. And so the Saints do hold. That is a 7-yard reception, and the Cardinals will have to punt it away.
And that's all the Saints need to do in that situation right there. Let it be complete underneath, make the tackle, and don't give up somebody some yards after catch.
Reggie, the crowd chants as Bush stands back at the 22-yard line awaiting the punt by Ben Graham. The Australian left-footed booter who kicked in one game for the Saints last year, that London game against San Diego. Graham, an end-over-end boot to the far sideline. Bush calls for the fair catch, makes it along that far sideline. We'll see where they will spot the ball. It's going to be back inside the 25, down at the 23-yard line of the Saints. That's a 41-yard effort.
Well, you know, I mean, that's a pretty good decision right there by Graham to get that end-over-ender punt where, you know, you can probably control it a little bit better. You pin Reggie into the sideline. You know that he's got to make the fair catch. Now, he didn't get it inside the 20-yard line if you just sat back there and boomed it, but you negate any kind of return.
That's that drop punt that Ben Graham has really specialized in. Came into this game leading the NFL with punts inside the 20-yard line, 42 of them. That one is to the 23. Here's a handoff inside. Pierre Thomas shrugs off one tackle. He's beyond the 30 and up around the 32-yard line. An excellent first down run of 9 yards by Pierre Thomas, who shows none of the ill effects of those damaged ribs.
Well, again, I mean, we have yet to see Mike Bell in this ball game, but the way that Pierre Thomas is running right now, and that's the great thing. I mean, he is your leading ground carrier for the Saints. I mean, he's getting in there. Look at the way he's hunkering down over the ball. He's got 5 carries for 22 yards right now. You can't ask a young man to do anything more than that.
Monty Beisel substituting for Gerald Hayes, the right inside linebacker, who is hurt with a sprained ankle, has to make the tackle on 2nd and 1. The Saints will give it off to Pierre Thomas again, right side, and with his usual second effort, picks up the first down beyond the 35 to the Saints 36-yard line. That's a gain of 4. Well, they tell me that the Cardinals got 526 tickets. That was their allotment for this game. And if you are looking for anybody in the red jerseys, all the way up in the right corner.
Up yonder.
The game is just a rumor to them about now.
I mean, the GNO ain't that high.
1st and 10 for the Saints at their 36-yard line. 4:09 to play, opening quarter. Saints on top 14-7. Play action. Here's Breeze. Looking downfield, checks off underneath Pierre Thomas, trying to make a move on the linebacker, and he'll settle for a short gain as he's taken down by Alan Branch, a defensive lineman, after just a 2-yard gain. But Drew Brees has had all sorts of time.
Yeah, but, you know, there again, Jim, if you watch this on the replay, you're going to see Pierre Thomas come out and watch him chip on Darnell Dockett. That's all it is. It's just a chip. Give him a nudge to make sure you get him back in the path of Jerron Bushrod.
So it will be 2nd and 8. The line of scrimmage, the Saint 38-yard line. This place is still buzzing over the turn of events. Shockey back in the lineup to the left side of the formation. Backs in an eye. Now Shockey comes in motion to the near side, joining Colston. Throw it underneath. This is Henderson. Henderson slips a tackle. He's up to the 45. Midfield into Cardinal territory to the 46-yard line. Devery Henderson fights his way forward. Would have been a very short gain. Instead, he makes it a 16-yarder. And there is a Cardinal shaken up at the 45-yard line.
I'm going to tell you what, Jim, I'm not so sure if that might have been a no gain. That was all on Devery Henderson right there, because as the Cardinals come in there, they just kind of beat the blockers to the punch.
Well, we're trying to get the number of the Cardinal who is shaken up. It looks like it could be Hamza Abdullah. That's the initial indication. And this appears to be serious.
29.
Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, perhaps, and if that's him, that's huge. That's their Pro Bowl left corner.
It's still hard to tell, Jim. I mean, the Cardinals training staff is all around, and the way he's crumpled up down there on the ground, he's kind of in that fetal position like he might be holding his knee. Nobody really knows because you can't see because of all the people that are in the way. Cromartie. Right there, he just kind of throws his body in there and gets hit, but it didn't look like anything got knocked out of sync there. I mean, you know, some of those injuries I can't stand to look at because I've had enough of them on my own. Let's go down to Kristian Garrett, see what he sees.
The Cardinal that is down is Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie. The trainers are looking at his left knee. Looks like that test that they always do for the ACL area, MCL area, PCL area. So that's what they're looking at right now. It is Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie.
And that would be gigantic. The first-round draft choice back in 2008, the second-year man out of Tennessee State, came into this game with 6 interceptions, bringing back 49 yards for a touchdown.
They're picking him up. Looks like he's going to have to be assisted coming off of the field. Putting very, very little weight, if anything at all, on that left knee.
Exactly right. So we'll see who replaces him in the lineup as a number of his teammates come over to give him their support. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the Cardinals coming to meet him. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie is a terrific player, a first-round draft choice out of 2008, and Marcus Colston, one of the Saints, to go over and pat him on the back.
Well, as they brought him by the Saints huddle, there were several Saints players that broke out of that huddle and kind of went over, kind of gave him a pat on the back, pat on the head, say, hey, man, I hope everything's all right. You hate to see that with a guy of his caliber and in this situation in the playoffs.
Greg Toller, a rookie 4th-round draft choice out of St. Paul's in Virginia, will replace him on the left corner and line up opposite. I believe that's Marcus Notes Beecham, who's opposite him. Here's a run left side, and it's Reggie Bush breaking free. Bush to the 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Bye-bye birdies. He's in the end zone. A 46-yard touchdown gallop by Reggie Bush, and the Saints extend their lead.
You look at the number of tackles that the Saints have broke on running plays and passing plays just early right here in the first quarter. Reggie Bush is running right now like I have never seen him run before. He's running with a little bit of an attitude. He's being very physical, and he's not being hesitant. He's taking that ball north and south, breaking tackles, and just bursting up the field.
And that was number 25, failing to tackle number 25, Bryant McFadden, the corner on that side, with Devery Henderson blocking down on him. Couldn't make the tackle of Bush, and in the blink of an eye, he was in the end zone. Hartley adds the extra point, and with 2:31 to play in the opening quarter, the Saints, who trailed 7-0 19 seconds into this game, now lead it by a score of 21-7.
Well, you know, Jim, you just look at the play before that Reggie Bush just scored. Devery Henderson just gets that little bubble screen out there. The number of tackles that he broke to pick up a first down. That was the play that Cromartie got hurt on. And then Reggie Bush comes back the very next play, breaking tackles like, I don't know. I mean, it looked like he was back at USC with some of these runs that he's made right here early in the game. I really didn't think that Reggie would be that much of a factor in a game like this, you know, unless it was just strictly in the passing game. But I'm going to tell you what, he is running like a man possessed right now. And that's not typically his style, but he has definitely got determination on his side right now.
And he's a healthy Reggie Bush.
Well, that's true.
Who looks more confident and quicker than we've seen him in a long, long time.
And that means a lot because, I mean, that's his game right there, speed and quickness. But, I mean, he's showing some power today that I haven't seen before. Good for him.
Saints go 77 yards in 5 plays in 2 minutes and 54 seconds. Reggie Bush breaking free on a 46-yard touchdown gallop. And the Saints extend their lead. Here's Morstead's kickoff. Stevens Howling comes up, takes it at the 4. Back to the 10, running across the field. He's up to the 20, and he'll be dropped as he crosses his 25-yard line. Courtney Roby was down there, Malcolm Jenkins as well. And that's a 25-yard return as the Saints converge. And this place, I don't think many of these folks have sat down yet. They've got seats, but it's really standing room only here in the Superdome.
Well, I mean, that's exactly what you want in a situation like this. But I'll guarantee you one thing, Jim. All these fans in here, they're not comfortable. You and I are not either, because you know what this offense is capable of for the Arizona Cardinals.
Warner is 2 out of 3 for 35 yards through the air, looking at 1st and 10 from the Cardinal 27-yard line. Tim Hightower lined up to his left. Fitzgerald comes in motion. Here's Warner. And he is hit and dropped. Taken down by John Vilma. Also there was the defensive tackle Cedric Ellis. And Warner goes down by the sack for the first time today, though he was earlier dropped by Scott Fujita. Good pressure as well from Bobby McRae. Warner had to pull it down, and the Saints dropped him for an 8-yard loss.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Kurt Warner. You're not worrying about him scrambling, so that's why you've got to keep pressure coming up the middle so that he's not able to step up and make that extra step up to give himself some room. You just got to keep collapsing the pocket on him.
2nd and 18 from the Cardinal 19-yard line. These fans smell blood. Warner up under center. Will hand it off, running near sideline. Beanie Wells, flag has been thrown as Wells is dropped. Taken down by Tracy Porter. Coming up from his right cornerback position, there is a flag down at the 19-yard line. This will probably go against Arizona.
It's got to be holding on the outside edge.
Holding. Offense number 89. Penalty decline. It's a 3rd down.
That's the tight end, Ben Patrick. He can't execute that long block. The penalty is declined, setting up 3rd and 18 from the Cardinal 19-yard line. Larry Fitzgerald, who's been quiet thus far, to the near side of the field. Doucette and Breston to the far. Warner goes to the shotgun with company in the backfield. Snap is almost dropped by Warner. He steps up in the pocket, and he's going to drop it off to Hightower. Up to the 30, and the Saints have collared him at the 32-yard line and throw him down. And so the Saints hold, and the Cardinals will have to punt it away. That's a 12-yard gain.
I'll tell you what, this Saints defense right now looks about as swarming and aggressive and quick. And I got to have a feeling that, you know, at least that bye week helped them get some fresh legs underneath, because those guys, if somebody catches the ball or somebody's running it, other than the first play of the game, you got a lot of black jerseys around that guy.
Shanley and Porter, the initial tacklers. And there's a lot of gang tackling going on, as Hokie mentioned. Coming back on to punt this one away is Ben Graham for the 2nd time today. Reggie Bush stands at the 30-yard line. Graham's left-footed effort to the near sideline. Bush retreats and takes it in at the 17. Runs to his left, cuts it upfield, slips one tackle and he dropped at the 31-yard line. Reggie Walker, a backup linebacker, bringing down Bush after a 51-yard Graham punt, followed by a 14-yard Reggie Bush returned. 24 seconds remaining in this first quarter, and this has had a game full of action thus far.
I'll tell you what, I hope that Graham keeps kicking that end-over-end kick, because that's easier to catch than a spiral punt. And we know that Reggie has had some problems in years past fielding punts from time to time. That end-over-end punt isn't easy. It's like catching a kickoff. It's much easier.
Breeze is 8 out of 9 for 90 yards and the touchdown to Jeremy Shockey of 17. Breeze from the shotgun on first down. Pats the football, steps up, and throws it away to the near sideline. Couldn't find anybody open downfield. Marcus Colston was out in a pattern to the near sideline in front of the Saints bench, but Breeze, feeling some pressure, throws the ball away. But for the most part, he's had a lot of time and a lot of targets from which to choose. And if you wondered if this Saint offense could turn the switch back on, they have. That's Breeze's first incompletion in his last 7 attempts. Now he looks at 2nd and 10 from his 31. Breeze in the shotgun again. Looks to the left for Bush. Throws it near sideline Thomas. Thomas hit at the 30, and he'll drag a tackler with him, maybe 2 more, up to around the 33-yard line. A short gain on the play of just 2 yards.
I'll tell you what, there's a nice job of Pierre Thomas holding on that football. Not on the reception, just when he got hit from behind.
15 eventful minutes of football history here in the Superdome. After 1 quarter, it is the Saints 21 and the Cardinals 7. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
Hello, WWL.
Okay.
Today's game is brought to you by Bud Light. Bud Light, official beer of the Saints.
Well, after the first quarter, the Arizona Cardinal has had 1 first down. They rushed it for 71 yards. 70 of those came on the game's first play when Tim Hightower broke loose. They have passed it for 40, a total of 111. They've controlled the football for just 4 minutes and 20 seconds. The Saints, 11 first downs, 91 yards rushing, 93 yards passing, 184 total yards in the first quarter, in which the Saints controlled the football for 10 minutes and 40 seconds.
Well, you think about, the Cardinals, they got the kickoff, so a few seconds ran off the clock. Then you had the 70-yard run by Hightower. So after 19 seconds of the ball game, the Cardinals were ahead 7-0. Then they come back on their very next series, and they have a completion over the middle, but a fumble that goes along with it.
And the word from the bench is that Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie has a left knee sprain, doubtful to return. Saints will go right to left on the first play of the second quarter on 3rd and 7 from his 34. Here's Breeze. Can't find anybody to his left. Guns it upfield, directed toward Lance Moore, and it's incomplete at the 49-yard line. Toller, who had replaced Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie on the coverage as the Saints try to work on him to no avail, and Thomas Morstead comes on to punt the football away for the first time today.
Well, I know the fans probably wanted pass interference right there. Thought that was just good coverage.
And dropping back deep will be Steve Breston, who averaged in the regular season 6.7 yards per return. Returned 1 against the Packers for 6. A beautiful punt by Morstead. Hits at the 4 and bounds into the end zone for the touchback. A 66-yard effort.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, you can't blame Morstead for that punt. I mean, you never know that something like that's going to come off your foot like a rocket, and that ball was really drilled.
Well, you might remember the last time the Saints played in Carolina, Morstead didn't handle the kickoff duties. Those were Garrett Hartley's job that day. And it was largely because Morstead had punted so badly against Tampa Bay, they felt that maybe he was dividing his attention too much. And you remember how well he punted at Carolina when that was his only duty. Doing both today, he's returned to his earlier season form. 1st and 10 for the Cardinals from their 20-yard line. Warner in the shotgun. Saints with a 4-man front. They'll hand it off and taken down after a very short gain by Bobby McCray. Was the running back Stevens Howling. He gets the carry and gets only 2 yards. Stevens Howling had 1 carry against the Packers for 18. Beanie Wells checks in now. Warner has to convey the play call to him as he comes up under center on 2nd and 8 from the Cardinal 22. Backs off set. Warner drops straight back. Some pressure from the backside. Throwing it over the middle. The completion is good up to around the 38-yard line. Steve Breston takes it in. Jabari Greer on the coverage. That's a 17-yard reception and a Cardinal first down.
That's actually very good coverage right there by Jabari Greer. You watch this. This ball is just thrown to a perfect spot, and there's really not a whole lot Jabari Greer can do about that unless he makes contact with Breston before the ball gets there.
First and 10 Cardinals at the Arizona 39. 13:38 to play second quarter. Saints leading it 21-7. Warner from the shotgun. Two wideouts to his left. He'll hand it off underneath the high tower. He'll be chased down from behind by Fujita. That'll be a short gain up to the 41-yard line. Credit him with 2 yards, and Scott Fujita has been very active here early in this game.
And, you know, a lot of times, Jim, he's coming up there. He's creeping up on the line of scrimmage. Sometimes it's from the outside. Sometimes it's from the inside. Sure, that's what Greg Williams is doing. We're trying to keep Kurt Warner off balance and not be able to depend on exactly where Fujita's coming from.
He comes to the sideline now, accompanied by Remy Adele, as Warner looks at 2nd and 7 from the Cardinal 42. 2 wideouts to the left. One early Doucette coming to the near side. There's a bunch of 3 to the right of Warner. Saints coming with a blitz again. Warner throws a wobbly pass downfield, and Sharper,
did he get it?
Comes up with the football. He's touched down at the 28-yard line. And Doucette gets into it with Jabari Greer. Darren Sharper, who had 9 interceptions in the regular season, but there is a flag down back at the 35-yard line. If the play stands, it's a Sharper interception.
Roughing the passer. Defense number 59. Go to the head of the quarterback. 15-yard penalty and a first down.
Well, we're not sure who 59 would have been, but it was a blow to the head, and maybe Christian Garrett can shed some light on that.
Yeah, that was Scott Shanley, number 58. I was watching him. He came on a blitz. He had his hands up, and his hand just glanced Kurt Warner around the head area. It was actually around the shoulder. I didn't see it, but again, you know, they called it, but it was 58 Scott Shanley.
So take away the interception, a juggling one by Sharper. Give the football to the Cardinals at the Saint 44-yard line, 1st and 10. 12:38 to play, opening quarter. Saints on top, 21-7. Warner from the shotgun, has time, now feels pressure, throws it out left side, completion to the 38-yard line to Anthony Becht, the tight end. They seldom throw to their tight end. Becht had no receptions last week against Green Bay and only 7 during the regular season. The safety valve pass nets them 8 yards.
Well, Jim, you got to be pretty impressed right now with the Saints pass rush. I mean, they're doing it sometimes with the blitz. Sometimes they're just doing it with a 4-man rush. But they are getting back there, putting pressure on Kurt Warner, and they're hitting him and knocking him down.
So it brings up 2nd and 3 at the Saint 36-yard line. Larry Fitzgerald along with Early Doucette wide to the left. Urban and Breston to the right. Here's Warner thrown over the middle. Hightower tripped up from behind, but he has the first down. Usama Young might have saved a touchdown, but not the first down, as the Cardinals take the ball to the Saint 27-yard line on a gain of 9.
Well, that's your quarterback and your running back being on the same page right there. You read the blitz as a running back. You know you're hot. Watch how quick work Kurt Warner gets this out to Hightower. And I tell you, Usama Young actually does a good job. I know Hightower picks up the first down. That's a tough situation to put a safety in.
1st and 10 for the Cardinals at the Saint 27. They trail it 21-7, 11-17 to play second quarter. Saints showing blitz. Here's Warner rolling out and throwing to Breston. A leaping reception. He'll take the ball down around the 20-yard line of the Saints before he's taken to the near sideline. Brought down by strong safety Roman Harper after an 8-yard gain. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the New Orleans Saints radio network.
The news, talk, and sports leader. The Big 870 WWL New Orleans. 105.3 WWL FM Kenner New Orleans and WWL.com.
Cardinals in the red zone, where they were the best team in the NFL this season in converting opportunities into touchdowns. Warner on 2nd and 2. from the Saint 19. Going to loft it into the end zone, and it is incomplete. Very nearly intercepted. Larry Fitzgerald was bracketed by Darren Sharper along with Jabari Greer, and Greer had that ball in his hands momentarily.
You know, and usually when Larry Fitzgerald goes up for a pass like that, he usually comes down with it. I mean, that was a heck of a job by Jabari Greer to break that whole thing up.
So Fitzgerald thus far has been held well in check. It will be 3rd and 2 from the Saint 19-yard line. Breston to the far side of the field alongside Doucette. Fitzgerald to the near side. Hightower stands to the right of Warner in the shotgun. Doucette's coming in motion left to right. Here's Warner dropping, looking, still looking, throwing, dumping it off. Doucette, running room, 10. And he is still on his feet to the 5-yard line. Inside the 5 to the 4. It will be 1st and goal for the Cardinals. Early Doucette on a 15-yard reception. Had that great game a week ago against the Packers. 6 receptions for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Well, I'll tell you what, right there, I couldn't tell who it was that was guarding Doucette as he was dragging across the middle, but whoever the Saints defender was ran right into the official.
Randall Gay trips him up at the 4-yard line. 1st and goal for the Cardinals. Beanie Wells, the lone setback. Breston comes in motion. Handoff Wells, right side. He'll be in the end zone easily. 4-yard touchdown run. Beanie Wells right side, and the Cardinals cut into the Saints lead.
Well, the big play on that drive right there was the roughing the passer call. And again, I mean, we were all looking downfield because Darren Sharper had come up with the interception. Didn't really see the contact to the head on Kurt Warner. There wasn't a replay up here, but well, a guy like Kurt Warner, you know, with as much as he's done in the league, as long as he's played, he's going to get those marginal calls like that. And Kristian was able to see it down there, and he said, I just saw maybe Scott Shanley hit him on the shoulder pads, but not the head. But that was a key play in that Cardinals drive.
Graham puts the snap by Leach down, and Neil Rackers puts it through. There is a flag down at the 4-yard line. The extra point by Rackers was good. Ron Winter is our referee.
Offside. Defense number 27. That 5-yard penalty will be assessed on a kickoff. The extra point is good. Timeout.
There's Malcolm Jenkins offsides. And so, at least momentarily, this sellout crowd has been quieted by the Cardinal touchdown. 9:40 to play, second quarter. Saints 21 and the Cardinals 14. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
Join Big Chief Deke Bellavia for LSU tailgating Saturday on WWL.
Cardinals go 80 yards in 9 plays in 5 minutes and 7 seconds. Beanie Wells caps it with a 4-yard touchdown run right side, cutting the Saints lead to 21-14. The big play in that drive, the penalty on Scott Shanley, overturning a Darren Sharper interception. Warner on the drive, 5 of 6 for 57 yards. And Arizona now in 5 first-half possessions have 2 touchdowns. They punted twice and fumbled. They have 177 total yards. Rackers to kick it off from the 35 after the offsides against Jenkins. It's still a bad effort. Roby comes up to the 6 to take it, and he slips a tackle momentarily, but not another, and he'll be dropped around the 16-yard line.
You're right. That was a bad effort, but it was also a bad return.
Just 11 yards on the return as Jason Wright brings down Courtney Roby. 9:35 to play, second quarter. Saints 21 and the Arizona Cardinals 14. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
Mile to impact lives and to tell communities in Louisiana they care. The people of Dow in Louisiana are applying science to improve human conditions. At Dow Louisiana, they want to make a difference and touch lives. Visit dowlouisiana.com to learn more.
Wake up with Bob Del Giorno, weekdays 6 to 10 on WWL.
For 93 yards and a touchdown, but he's missed 2 of his last 3 pass attempts. But yeah, you kind of sit here and look at the Saints running game because this is the first opportunity Mike Bell's got to be in there. Reggie Bush, 3 carries for 64 yards and a touchdown. Pierre Thomas, 6 carries for 26 yards.
First and 10 for the Saints. They start this drive from their 17. Jeremy Shockey comes in motion right to left. Mike Bell carrying the ball for the first time today. He's tripped up as he crosses the 20. They'll give him forward progress up to around the 22-yard line. Calais Campbell, the left defensive end on the stop. That's a 5-yard gain. And We're told from the bench that Antrell Roll, their starting free safety, is at least momentarily sidelined by a head injury deemed questionable, and Hamza Abdullah will replace him at the safety position. Here's Breeze, play action with time, looking deep, wants it all, deep downfield for Meacham, and he overthrows him at the 30-yard line.
Robert Meacham actually slowed up early in the route. When Drew got back there, I think that Meacham just kind of said, maybe I'm a little bit too far downfield, and then he kind of throttled it down a little bit, and then when when Drew Brees threw it, that's when he decided to pick it up. Let's go right down to Kristian Garrett.
Yeah, Robert Meacham actually ran out of his shoe trying to catch up to that overthrown ball by Drew Brees.
And they go to work on Greg Toller again. He's in there for Rogers Cromartie. So that's the second time in the last couple of minutes that Breeze has targeted him. Reggie Bush into the lineup now and standing to the left of Breeze in the shotgun on 3rd and 5 from the Saint 22. Handed off inside to Bush. Reggie Bush taking it to the outside, and he'll be taken down right around the sticks.
I think he got it, Jim.
Hamza Abdullah making the tackle, but Reggie Bush looking as explosive today as we've ever seen him, running decisively, running with power. That's a 5-yard gain, and it is a Saints first down.
I mean, he does a nice job of trying to get that extra effort, extra yard right there at the end of the run, but he knew that his forward progress had already gotten him beyond the sticks, albeit by about a foot or so.
Adrian Wilson missed him short of the sticks, and Bush picks up the first down. 1st and 10 Saints up at the New Orleans 28-yard line. 8:25 to play second quarter. Saints on top 21-14. Breeze pitches it. Right side run. Thomas tries to turn the corner, and he'll get to the 30, and that's about all. He's dragged down by Carlos Dansby after a 2-yard gain.
That's just a play that the Saints don't particularly run well. They run it better than they do their screen, but the pitch play is, it's one of the basic plays that you get in high school or in college, and actually Pierre Thomas made something pretty decent out of that because he could have been tackled in the backfield.
Carlos Dansby, the hero of the overtime victory against the Packers last Sunday, making the tackle, and it's 2nd and 8 from the Saint 30-yard line. Breeze, play action to Bush, throws down the middle, Colston a reception inside the Arizona 45 down to the 44-yard line. A beautiful throw by Breeze, good for a 26-yard gain.
Marcus Colston kind of had that mini slump, I guess you'd say, early in the season when he had a few drops, but boy, here's of late, you get the ball in his area, and he is coming down with the catch.
And the person on him was Michael Adams, number 27, who wore a target last week against the Packers. He was picked on repeatedly, and that's where the Saints went for the big pickup of 26 yards to Colston and a first down at the 44-yard line of the Cardinals. 7 minutes to play before halftime. Saints up 21-14. Breeze, pitch back, flea flicker. Breeze loads and locks it and throws it downfield, and it is caught by Henderson at the goal line for the touchdown. 44 yards on the touchdown reception. Bryant McFadden beaten on the flea flicker by Devery Henderson.
And with that touchdown pass, the Breeze Dream Foundation was energized by South Coast Solar with another $150 donation. South Coast Solar, dependable, renewable energy. SouthCoastSolar.com. Actually, Devery Henderson has to wait on this football. Drew, he kind of looks to the right just to kind of look off the secondary, and that's what gave the defensive back a chance to kind of collapse that or close that margin between him and Devery Henderson. But Devery dropped that ball in the end zone against Dallas. There was no way he was going to do it this time.
Yeah, he had really left McFadden well in his wake. Here's Hartley's extra point, and it is up and through. And so the Saints once more have answered a Cardinal touchdown with one of their own. And with 6:48 to play before halftime, it is now the Saints 28 and the Cardinals 14. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
Bud Light presents the News, Talk, and Sports leader, WWL.
This Cardinal secondary that was so porous last week against the Packers hasn't gotten any tighter, it would appear, in the week's interim.
Well, they've already lost Rogers Cromartie to a knee injury. Antrell Roll is out. They're picking on Mike Adams the way he got picked on last week. And you look at Drew Brees for the game, 11 of 15, 163 yards, 2 touchdowns on that drive. 2 or 3 for 70 yards. Hit the big play to Marcus Colston on 3rd down, and then the big one right there, the big strike to Devery Henderson.
Saints go 83 yards in 6 plays in 2 minutes and 52 seconds. The final 44 yards, a flea flicker. Beautifully executed. Thomas pitching it back to Breeze, who connects with Henderson. Here's Morstead's kickoff. Stevens Howling driven 5 yards deep will kneel, and Arizona will start from the 20 on the touchback. There is a flag down, however, back around the area where the Saints kicked the ball off at the 33-yard line.
It's got to be the Saints offsides.
Got to be.
If the flag is thrown that far down, and I mean, it's kind of a shame because that was Morstead's done a good job of putting the ball a yard or 2 in the end zone or right there at the goal line. But that one he was driven back deep enough to where they couldn't return it. It'd be a shame to have the kick that good called back for a 5-yard penalty.
Morstead had 27 touchbacks in the regular season, 4th best in the NFL. Had none against Carolina when the duties were handled by Hartley.
Offside. Number 52 of the kicking team. A 5-yard penalty. Arizona has elected the option for a re-kick.
Jonathan Casillas.
Yes, it was. Jonathan Casillas penalized, and so the Saints will re-kick it.
And you probably figure in a playoff game the officials are looking more closely at things like that, because you can't tell me that during the regular season, you know, that some of those guys, I mean, all it takes is for your head to be across that line and the flag comes out. So, I mean, we hadn't seen a replay or anything like that, but just, you know, make sure you don't get yourself over anxious.
So the Saints will have to do it once more. And this crowd buzzing up after an incredibly active first half. If you're joining us a bit late, on the very first play of the game from scrimmage, Tim Hightower went 70 yards on a touchdown run, and the Saints countered with a 72-yard touchdown drive. Lionel Hamilton, a 1-yard run to tie it at 7, and then a 17-yard touchdown pass Breeze to Shockey, a Reggie Bush 46-yard run. And the Saints led 21-7 after the first quarter. The Cardinals have scored on a 4-yard touchdown run in the second quarter by Beanie Wells. The Saints have answered most recently on a 44-yard touchdown strike. Breeze to Devery Henderson on the flea flicker. And now from his 25-yard line, Thomas Morstead will kick it away. It's another strong kick. Stevens Howling from the 1 to the 5 to the 10. He's to the 15 to the 20, and he'll be dropped around the 27-yard line. Looked like Courtney Roby, the Saints' ace special teams player, who suffered an apparent concussion against Carolina in the last regular season game, making the stop. That is a 27-yard return. We have 6:42 to play here in the second quarter. Saints on top 28-14.
Well, I know both of these teams, because they pass so much, they get the label of being a finesse team. There's a lot of collisions taking place down there today.
It's a brand new season, and the intensity has gotten markedly greater. Tim Hightower, the lone setback behind Warner, who's up under center. Receivers left and right. Larry Fitzgerald to the near side. Here's Hightower running straight ahead and met by Vilma. He has company. 3 other Saints converge to drop Hightower. And Roman Harper mixing it up with Deuce Latui, who's already been penalized once in this game for extracurricular activity. That is a 3-yard gain by Hightower, bringing up second and a long 6, they'll call it, from the 32-yard line of the Cardinals. The Saints will go with their 3-man defensive front as Warner goes to the shotgun. Warner with 2 receivers to his left, 2 to the right. Saints showing blitz. Coming off the corner. Warner steps up and throws it, and it's intercepted. Will Smith with his second interception of this season. The defensive end takes it down, and there is a player shaken up, and that is Kurt Warner, flat on his face and requiring attention at the 33-yard line. That's a 5-yard return by Will Smith of the interception.
And let's go right down to Kristian Garrick.
Yeah, on the interception, Bobby McRae peeled back and flat out leveled Kurt Warner. They're looking at his head right now. In the neck area. He threw a devastating blow by Kurt Warner.
Wow, you got that exactly right, Kristian. Bobby McRae just blindsided Warner, who never saw him. To his credit, Warner was coming up and trying to make a tackle. So we will take the break with 5:48 to play in the second quarter. The football will be the Saints when we return. 28-14 New Orleans on top. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
In Deke Bellavia, weekdays 4 to 8 p.m. on WWL.
Jim, after the interception right there by Kurt Warner, I mean, he threw it. Will Smith tipped it up in the air. He caught it, and Bobby McCray just laid a lick on him. It was perfectly clean. Got his head in front. Didn't hit him in the head. He just pummeled him to the ground. Kurt Warner goes off kind of woozy.
1st and 10 Saints at the Cardinal 27. Second turnover of this game by Arizona. Here's Breeze. Wants it all right away. Throws a back shoulder to Colston, and it is not in bounds. Could not stay in bounds. Saints fans thinks it's a good catch, but it is not. He's out of bounds on the near sideline and incomplete. They're working against Bryant McFadden.
Well, it's a terrific effort, but right there you could see that right foot is even the left foot comes out. The officials are right there. I mean, there's no reason in the world for Sean Payton to even think about challenging this. Marcus Colston makes a hell of an adjustment, a hell of a catch. It's just the ball was thrown a little too far outside.
2nd and 10 for the Saints from the Cardinal 27-yard line. 3 receivers to his right, 2 to the left. Among them, Reggie Bush near sideline. Here's Breeze looking in that direction. Rolls to his left. Stops. Throws. Dumps it off. Reggie Bush, 21-yard line. He's ridden down by McFadden. And this will bring up a 3rd down conversion opportunity after a 7-yard gain.
I mean, you're in pretty good shape right there. You got the nose of the football sitting on a 20-yard line. Looks like you got about 3 yards to go for the first down. You got a couple options here. You can run a draw. You could throw the ball. A couple of different things you can do.
Saints are 3 out of 4 in 3rd down conversions. And it had been a problem in that 3-game losing streak that ended the season. This is 3rd and 3 from the Cardinal 20-yard line. From the shotgun, Breeze throws over the middle, and a diving reception is made by Bush inside the 15-yard line at the 13-yard line. Reggie Bush doing all the things that fans have expected from him for so long and doing them all here in the first half. That's a 5-yard reception and a dandy.
And I'm going to tell you what, Jim, that was a tough catch that Reggie Bush had to make. He had a defender right there on his back. He was falling down as he went to the ground, put his hands out there, and brought the ball in. That's one heck of a play on the part of Reggie Bush.
Working on the linebacker, Carlos Dansby. So it's a Saint first down at the 15-yard line of the Cardinals. 4:22 to play before halftime. Saints up 28-14. Henderson split out wide to the left. Colston wide right. Backs in an eye. Give it to the tailback. This is Pierre Thomas inside the 10 before he's taken down by Monty Beisel. A 5-yard gain.
Well, you don't have to worry about Pierre Thomas running hard. I don't care if it's the preseason, regular season, or postseason. That guy's going to give you everything he's got on every down.
The clock continues to run and shows less than 4 minutes remaining. 2nd and 5 for the Saints from the 10-yard line of the Cardinals. Saints looking to increase this 14-point lead prior to halftime. Thomas will be the tailback. Pierre Thomas. David Thomas lines up in front of him as the fullback. Shockey comes in motion left to right. Give it off on the end around. This is Robert Meacham down to the 5-yard line. Taken down by Toller, Greg Toller, but that's a 5-yard gain as Meacham gets the opportunity to carry the football. He did so 6 times during the regular season for 82 yards, including a long gain of 41.
Well, now that puts the Saints in a 3rd down situation with the ball at the 5, but they can pick up a first down, get a new set of downs.
3rd and 1 from there. Handed off to Thomas. Pierre Thomas has that first down to the 3-yard line before he's swarmed over and driven backward, and a late flag is thrown. This has been a very physical and hard-fought game here in the first half. A late flag thrown as Pierre Thomas was being taken down.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 90. Headline captain to the goal. First down.
3-yard gain. Darnell Dockett, who'll be heading to his 2nd Pro Bowl, draws the flag.
Well, I mean, it's nice to have the flag. The only bad thing about it is half the distance to the goal only moved the ball ahead, maybe a yard after the gain that Pierre Thomas got.
1st and goal from the 2-yard line. 2:45 to play before halftime. Mike Bell checks in as the lone running back. Three receivers set to the near sideline. Now Colston goes in motion and resets to the right side. The Cardinals jump across the line of scrimmage, saying that they were drawn off by David Thomas, and they were. That was a problem in the alignment there. It looked like Colston was late breaking out to the right side.
5-yard penalty. It remains first down.
John Stinchcomb, I believe, is who they call that on it. Like you said, Jim, there was a little bit of confusion with the motion, and I don't know whether John Stinchcomb was looking at the clock. If they hesitated a little bit, and then the Cardinals came across the line of scrimmage. But in the official's mind, there was no doubt about who it was.
So it is first and goal from the 7-yard line. Saints penalized twice for 19 yards. Breeze hands it off left side. Mike Bell to the goal line. Another flag has been thrown. Bell is in the end zone, but there is a flag down back at the 9-yard line.
That's going to be holding against the Saints. Walking
Disconsolately back initially is Carl Nix, but it's going to go against the Saints, so this penalty will be negated.
First down.
The touchdown negated, rather, by the penalty.
It was holding, I'm pretty sure, against Carl Nix.
It was against Carl Nix.
And at the 2-minute warning, here's your warning from the Louisiana Partners for Highway Safety, reminding everybody to buckle up. Jim, right there during the 2-minute warning, they took Kurt Warner from the bench into the locker room after that big hit that he took from Bobby McRae. They say it's in his chest, and the way that he got hit, you would say that would be on the throwing side of his body, on the right side, just by the direction that the hit came from Bobby McRae.
Warner's family very concerned, as you might expect, in the stands behind the Cardinal bench. So the Saints had a penalty call against Carl Nix, negating the Mike Bell touchdown run. The Saints have now been penalized 3 times for 29 yards in the first half. Arizona twice for 7. So now the line of scrimmage is the 17-yard line of the Cardinals, where it is 1st and 10. 2 minutes remaining in an incredibly active first half. Colston to the near side of the field. Meacham and Henderson to the far. Cardinals showing blitz. Breeze adjusts Thomas to block for him. Looks to his left. Throws for Meacham. Leaping reception down around the 2-yard line. Make that Colston. Colston on the catch. Near sideline. McFadden brings him down. That is a 15-yard reception, and the Saints are knocking on the door once more.
Well, there have been no challenges this half, but if there was, you could sign up for First Bank and Trust totally free checking this week at any of our branches to get a Saints debit card and a free Saints tailgating chair. First Bank and Trust, official bank partner of the New Orleans Saints.
2nd and goal from the 2-yard line. Less than 1:30 to play first half. Bush lined up to the right side is one of 3 receivers. Colston comes in motion right to left. Pierre Thomas, the lone setback. Cardinals adjust their defensive front. Breeze looking to his left, throws, and it is going to be caught by Colston for a touchdown. Right in front of Bryant McFadden, and the Saints, with a 2-yard touchdown reception by Colston, add to their lead. Beautifully executed.
And with that touchdown pass, the Breeze Dream Foundation was energized by South Coast Solar with another $150 donation. South Coast Solar, dependable, renewable energy. SouthCoastSolar.com. That's 2 throws in a row that Drew Brees has gone to Marcus Colston and kind of done the same thing. My guy is going to come down with the ball. First one was kind of a fade pass down the sideline that Marcus Colston easily went up and got, and that was the back shoulder fade stop route.
And Colston, with that great body control and his ability to shield defenders off the football. Garrett Hartley adds the extra point, by the way. But, man, what a target he is down there.
And, I mean, it's money in the bank when you put the ball in the right spot, because defenders just can't get through him to get to the ball. Now let's go right down to Kristian Garrett for the River Parish Disposal Saints Sideline Report.
That first play to Colston to move the ball to the 2, that was the same play they tried to run earlier that Marcus Colston couldn't get his feet in bounds. Drew Brees saw something in the Cardinals defense and killed the play and changed it a little bit, and then they went after him again, and it's almost the same play, just a shorter yardage. They like that matchup.
35-14 with 1:10 to play in the first half. The most points the Saints have scored in the first half this season, and what a time to do it.
Yeah, and you know, we saw when Kurt Warner went in the locker room, we saw Matt Leinart warming up over there on the sideline. Now, what does Ken Wisenhunt do right now? Does he give him the keys to the car to try and move the ball down with 1 minute and 10 seconds remaining here in the first half? Or did he try and play it close to the vest and say, I don't want my young guy to make any mistakes?
The Saints go 73 yards in 8 plays in 4 minutes and 38 seconds. 2-yard touchdown pass, Breeze to Colston, as Breeze is now 15 of 20 for 192 yards and 3 touchdowns in the first half of play. Morstead's kickoff.
Good kick.
Is a dandy. 7 yards deep in the end zone. Stevens Howling will kneel, and the Cardinals will have it on the touchback at their 20. Man, what a first half this has been.
Yeah, so much for the Saints offense having a bunch of rust on them, sitting players in the Carolina game, in the bye week, one thing another. I'm curious right now just exactly what does Arizona do, you know, bringing in Matt Leinart in there. I mean, it's been a long time since he started. Do they want to not get him rattled, anything like that, hand the football off, or do they say, look, we got great receivers, let's try and get ourselves in position?
Matt Leinart, 51 of 77 during the regular season, 66%, no touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, and he lines up in the shotgun on first down. Resets Urban out to his right. Saints bring 3. Leinart throws it over the middle, and a reception by Doucette, who has his helmet knocked off by Scott Shanley. You don't think there's some hitting going down on that field down there? That's a 6-yard gain. Doucette separated from his helmet. The Cardinals are going to hurry things up and get back to the line of scrimmage and look at it 2nd and 4 from their 26.
Well, give a lot of credit to Early Doucette for holding on to that ball, because he got hit immediately after he made the reception.
Leinart from the shotgun. Throws left side. Doucette with the catch. Saints keep him in bounds. Tracy Porter brings him down, but this will be a first down up at the 31-yard line. A 5-yard gain, and the Cardinals will call timeout. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens here in the second half as to whether Kurt Warner can indeed come back. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the New Orleans Saints radio network.
The news, talk, and sports leader. The Big 870 WWL New Orleans. 105.3 WWL FM Kenner New Orleans and WWL.com.
In limited playing time this season, Matt Leinart, the former first-round draft choice out of USC in 2006, compiled a 64.6 passer rating, was sacked twice. Early Doucette now, 4 receptions for 37 yards. Fitzgerald has been targeted 2 times and doesn't have a reception. He's going to come to the near side of the field, accompanied by Breston and Doucette. Leinart in the shotgun. To his left will be Jeremy Urban. Hightower in the backfield with it. Saints rush 3, and then Fujita belatedly throw upfield, and there's a catch by Fitzgerald, who scrambles to the sideline but stays in bounds. So Larry Fitzgerald makes his first reception, and it's good for 15 yards up to the Cardinal 47. Leinart will spike the football, stopping the clock with 14 seconds remaining, and the Cardinals have 1 timeout.
Well, and that just gives you an idea of just how valuable Larry Fitzgerald is right there. I mean, if you want a sure-handed target for Matt Leinart to throw to, and look, that was a tough catch that Fitzgerald just had to make.
And Larry Fitzgerald has had an incredible start to his playoff career. The most receiving yards in the first 5 playoff games for a player in NFL history. 5 consecutive playoff games with a touchdown reception. 9 touchdown receptions in his first 5 playoff games. Another NFL record amongst wide receivers. 2nd and 10 from his 48 for Leinart. He throws over the middle. This is Fitzgerald again, running to the near sideline, trying to get out of bounds, and he will be hit by Usama Young as he does get out of bounds inside the 40-yard line to the Saint 39. That is a 14-yard gain, and 8 seconds remain on the clock. Again, the Cardinals do have 1 timeout remaining. Now, last week, late in that game, with 14 seconds remaining, they chose to have Rackers attempt a field goal. This is on the very periphery of his range, and the 21-point deficit causes the Cardinals to look at 1st and 10 from the Saint 39, and Leinart goes to the shotgun. 3 to his left, 1 to his right. Here's Leinart going to throw it short for Urban, trying to get out of bounds, and does so, stopping the clock with 2 seconds remaining. He is out of bounds at the Saint 33-yard line. That's a 6-yard gain.
Well, Matt Liner doesn't do a bad job coming in there. I mean, he just hits the short stuff, go to your sure-handed guys, pick up whatever yardage we can get, and let's try and get ourselves to at least put some points on the board before the half expires.
Neil Rackers lines up a 51-yard field goal left hash mark. Graham will put it down. Snap, placement, and the Saints may have called timeout here.
Oh, and
that kick was no good.
Final snap. Timeout.
So Rackers gets the chance to think about what he did wrong in missing wide to the right. It was fairly short, but wide to the right certainly. And Rackers gets a reprieve as the Saints might have outthought themselves there by calling the late timeout.
Well, but so many people do that, and I know you hate that rule. You told me before that, they ought to be a rule that says a coach can't call a timeout right there at the last second where somebody kicks a field goal. In that case, it would have been the perfect situation for the Saints, but they got the timeout in time because when Sean Payton's standing over there, the officials on the sidelines, he goes, all right before he kicks the ball, I'm calling timeout.
Mike Leach to snap it. Ben Graham to put it down again. 51-yard attempt as Rackers gets a do-over. Snap, placement, kick on its way. Doesn't have a whole lot of leg, and it does not get there. So Neil Rackers misfires from 51 yards out, and listen to the reception this team gets as they head off the field. The Saints score 35 points after an early 7-0 deficit and go to the halftime locker room on top of the Arizona Cardinals, 35-14. A berth in the NFC Championship game hanging in the balance. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network. Clap your hands. Kickoff is a very short one to the far side of the field, and it goes out of bounds. Look at Rackers.
I don't know if
he had a groin injury last week. He was questionable. Look at him limping.
Right. That's what I was going to say. I don't know if that's just in disgust or if it's his injury, but, now the ball comes all the way out to the 40-yard line. I mean,
and on first down, play action to him. Breeze throws over the middle, and in traffic, the catch is made by Henderson. What a catch down to the 45-yard line of the Arizona Cardinals. Good for 15 yards, and Sean Payton doesn't have any intention of taking his foot off the accelerator, does he, despite the 35-14 score?
No, and I tell you what, that wasn't a very pretty pass on the part of Drew Brees, but Devery Henderson comes up with another really good catch.
He comes to the near side of the field, Colston to the far. On 1st and 10, Saints from the 45-yard line of the Cardinals. Just underway, second half. Here's a handoff to Pierre Thomas, banging straight ahead down to around the Cardinal 41. Adrian Wilson comes up from his strong safety position to make the tackle after a 3-yard gain. Pierre Thomas in the first half carried 9 times for 35 yards, an average of 3.9. Reggie Bush led the Saints in rushing, 4 carries for 70, including a 46-yard touchdown scamper.
I don't know that we've seen Jeremy Shockey since he went out with that touchdown pass, but David Thomas, if he's going to be the fullback in the backfield, he better look out for Pierre Thomas because he'll run right up your back.
2nd and 7 from the Cardinal 42. Breeze throws near sideline. Bush reverses his field, and he'll be smothered around the 38-yard line of Arizona. Carlos Dansby in on the tackle. That's a 4-yard gain. And the Saints went to Shockey early, and he responded with 3 receptions, including a 17-yard touchdown that at the time gave the Saints their first lead at 14-7. They have not looked back since. Saints are 5 out of 6 in third down conversions, looking at 3rd and 3 here from the Cardinal 38-yard line. Breeze in the shotgun. Cardinals coming off the edge. Then the pass is tipped and incomplete. Wilson was coming up from his safety position, got in Breeze's face and tipped the football away. Looked like it was intended for Reggie Bush. And the Saints right now,
I think they're going to go for it.
On 4th and 3, keep their offense out there. Zach Streif's going to come on to provide some blocking.
64 is eligible. 64.
And that would be Zach Streif, as the Saints will go for it here on 4th and 3 During the season, the Saints were successful on 40% of their attempts on fourth down, 6 of 15. Backs in an eye. Tailback is Pierre Thomas. Breeze is going to call signals and maybe try to draw the Cardinals off sides. They're not buying it. And with the playing clock winding down, a flag will be thrown, giving Thomas Morstead some more of the field with which to work.
Well, I tell you what, when Drew Brees went up there when he did the first hard count, he did get the Cardinals to flinch pretty good.
The penalty is declined, so Morstead doesn't get any more acreage with which to work, and he comes on to punt the football away. In the first half, he punted just once for 66 yards. Steve Breston is back deep. Morstead will probably either angle it to the sideline or try to kick one of those end-over-end punts and try to keep the ball on the field of play. Downfield, it hits at the 7, backs up, and the Saints will cover it around the 11-yard line with Casillas covering up the football. That'll be a 27-yard punt by Thomas Morstead. Time out on the field, 12:51 to play. Third quarter, Saints 35 and the Cardinals 14. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
Join Tommy Tucker for the night shift, weeknights 8 to midnight on WWL.
Today's game is brought to you by Stanley, Reuter, Ross Thornton, and Alford, business litigators for New Orleans and the Gulf South region.
And Kurt Warner comes back out on the field with the Cardinals touching the football offensively for the first time in the third quarter. He was 8 of 11 in the first half for 105 yards and 1 interception before he took a vicious hit by Bobby McRae and was forced to leave the game. On play action, he'll roll to his right, throw it upfield. The catch is made by Doucette, and he's going to carry Randall Gay with him all the way for the first down. One LSU Tiger carrying another as Early Doucette continues to blossom. That will be a first down.
Early Doucette definitely getting the better part of that Tiger tandem right there. That ball was thrown just beyond the line of scrimmage, and he just used his strength. And Randall Gay's holding on for dear life. Early Doucette just not giving up.
12-yard pickup. Cardinal first down at their 24-yard line, 1st and 10. 12:20 to play, third quarter. Saints up 35-14. Warner from the shotgun. 2 receivers to his left, 1 to the right. He hands it off on the delay, and that will go nowhere at the 25-yard line. I believe that might have been Stevens Howling. Let's check that a second time. No, that was Jason Wright, I believe, on the carry. It was Jason Wright, his first carry of the day, good for 2 yards. And it brings up 2nd and 8 at the 26-yard line of Arizona. Larry Fitzgerald split out wide to the right. Hightower, the setback behind Warner. He puts Patrick in motion, and he joins him as a blocking back in the backfield for Hightower, who gets the call. And he'll be hit by Will Smith short of the 30-yard line. That's a 3-yard gain.
Well, the Saints crowd, they need to get back into the seats after going to the restroom, go pick up a beer at halftime, and get back into this thing like they were the first half. I'm not saying that they're not making noise, but this is not near as loud as it was the first go-round.
And they might have heard you.
Well, then they're unlike my house because they listen.
It's about as loud as your house, huh? 3rd and 5 from the 29-yard line of the Cardinals. Warner in the shotgun. He puts Doucette in motion left to right. Calls for the football. Saints blitz him up the middle. Warner in trouble. Throws it upfield. Incomplete. Intended for Breston. Jabari Greer on the coverage, and there were 3 Saints all over Warner as he tried to get rid of the football, and he walks disconsolately now to the Cardinals sideline.
Well, you know, really can't take a whole lot out of that first series with the Cardinals of how we think maybe Kurt Warner is. I mean, right there, he's got somebody in his face. He can't step into the throw. And the first throw he went to Early Doucette was just a short throw to kind of, let me just see if my muscles are working all right.
Ellis Smith and Harper were all draped all over Kurt Warner. You can hear the Reggie in the background as Ben Graham hits that end-over-end punt, and Bush will field it at the 25, dancing around, moving to his left, turns it upfield, still on his feet, and pushed out of bounds in front of the Cardinal bench. As he crosses his 35-yard line, they'll spot it at the 36-yard line of the Saints after a 46-yard punt and a return of 11 yards. Tackle made by Bertrand Berry and a timeout on the field. 10:36 to play. Third quarter, Saints 35 and the Cardinals 14. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
Of Prep Football Roundup, Friday nights on WWL.
The Superdome Hokie guys on Jim Henderson and Kristian Garrick with a River Parish Disposal Saints Sideline Report.
Hokie, you were talking about Jeremy Shockey, whether he's been in the ballgame since that little knee injury. He has been back a couple of times. He is a little gimpy, though, on it. You see him running around a little gingerly.
First and 10 Saints, their 36-yard line. Breeze up under center, handing it off to Reggie Bush, and Reggie Bush up to the 45. Midfield as Reggie Bush showing his electrifying quickness, perhaps today as he never has all season long. That is a 14-yard gain.
I kind of think maybe this is one of his games in his career, not discounting a little bit, the punt returns that he's had for the big plays on special teams. But today, as far as running the football, I don't think I've ever seen him as aggressive and decisive as I am looking at him today.
And with running room, thanks to Jermon Bushrod and Carl Nix, Bush has carried it 5 times for 84 yards and a touchdown scamper of 46. Here's play action by Breeze. Steps up, throws downfield, catch is made. This is Colston inside the 40 to the 39-yard line.
Roughing the passer.
Oh, yeah, I see a flag back at the 40-yard line.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, blow to the knees of the quarterback, number 93 defense, 15-yard penalty, and a first down.
It was a first down anyway. Additional penalty yardage, courtesy of Calais Campbell, the left defensive end, hitting Breeze down low.
And, usually most of the personal fouls, for roughing the quarterback are going to be to the helmet area. That time, and you cannot hit the quarterback below the knees either. They've got a window from their neck to their knees that you can't hit them above or below that.
So it is first and 10 Saints at the Cardinal 24-yard line. 9:33 to play third quarter. Saints up 35-14, trying to get some more. Lance Moore back in there. As Meacham maybe a little gimpy. Play action. Breeze looks, throws into the end zone. Incomplete. Thrown for Colston between 2 defenders. The ball was thrown high and incomplete. And those defenders were Hamza Abdullah along with Michael Adams.
Well, you can't really fault Drew Brees for throwing that ball right there because he's gone to Colston a lot today. Marcus Colston's come up with a big catch. That's just a little bit too high. But, again, if I'm Drew Brees, go to Marcus Colston because he's having a terrific day.
There is a Cardinal shaken up. I believe that is Bertrand Berry. And as they look at him, we'll step aside. 9:20 to play, third quarter. Saints 35 and the Cardinals 14. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
6 to 10 on WWL.
It was Bertrand Berry who was shaken up. He limped off the field. Well, any other team might have been a bit rattled as they made their playoff debut for the season on a 70-yard touchdown run by Tim Hightower. In the first play of the game, the Cardinals took a 7-0 lead, and the Saints responded with 21 answered points in the first quarter to take a 21-7 lead. It is now 35-14, second and 10 from the 24-yard line of the Cardinals. Throwing it near sideline Moore, and he can't shake loose as he is taken down immediately by Adrian Wilson. The 9-year North Carolina State strong safety going to the Pro Bowl recognized that very quickly, and that will be a one-yard loss on the reception by Moore. Lance Moore returning to the lineup today. Had 1 reception in the first half for 7 yards.
Robert Meacham been pretty quiet in this ball game right here. It might not be a bad time to maybe look in his direction as he goes out wide to the left.
Along with Devery Henderson and Marcus Colston. Thomas and Bush to the near side. 3rd and 11 for Breeze, who's in the shotgun at the Cardinal 25. Breeze delivers, and it is going to be incomplete. Coming back, almost making a one-handed reception was Devery Henderson as he was covered by Michael Adams. But Henderson couldn't reel it in, and on will come Garrett Hartley.
Well, that's typically a pass right there. We've talked about how much that Devery Henderson has improved through the years with his receiving skills. That's something that you don't see him do on a consistent basis. Make that one-handed catch.
So Hartley will attempt a 43-yard field goal from the right hash mark with Mark Brunell to hold. Hartley 9 of 11 on the season. A miss from 58 against Washington, that 37-yarder against Tampa Bay, and this kick is up and perfect. So Garrett Hartley, hitting from 43 yards out, adds to the Saint lead. And with 8:26 to play here in the third quarter. It is now New Orleans on top by a score of 38-14. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network. First time the Saints enter the red zone and fail to come away with a touchdown. They had 3 entrances to the red zone in the first half, all paying off in touchdowns. This time they settle for a field goal, 43 yards, Garrett Hartley. Saints on top, 38-14. We haven't seen Beanie Wells much.
Nah, he had that 4-yard touchdown run. He got 2 carries for just 5 yards. And, I mean, he was supposed to be the guy that, but at least on my part, I was concerned about him getting into a group. But they started Tim Hightower in the game. And, of course, he started off with a bang. Maybe they felt like that was the guy to go with.
Morstead to kick it away. Stevens howling, retreats, 6 yards deep. Will Neal, another touchback for Morstead, as the Cardinals will start from the 20-yard line.
Well, I know there was a lot of complaints by Saints fans, myself included, drafting Thomas Morstead, but boy, has he been quite a surprise.
Were we wrong? He's done a great job, and to think having that kind of talent and be that balanced as a rookie, and you're going to have him punting for you for a long, long time, the way it looks right now.
You know, I mean, if he starts honing down maybe some field goal skills, I mean, he could be a long-range guy.
So Kurt Warner, 9 of 13 for 117 yards and an interception, finds his team trailing by 24 points, 38-14, with 8:26 to play third quarter. First and 10 Cardinals from their 20-yard line. Hightower in the backfield with Warner. Saints bring 3. He throws over the middle, and it's incomplete. Intended for Hightower, and it was stripped from him by Scott Shanley at the 26-yard line.
Scott Shanley really does a good job in that intermediate range as a linebacker, covering backs coming out of the backfield. I mean, look, he doesn't always make the play like he does right here, but generally speaking, when that guy catches the ball, he'll tackle him immediately.
Second and 10 for the Cardinals and Kurt Warner from their 20. Warner in the shotgun, 2 receivers to either side. Saints coming on a blitz. Warner with time throws, and it's going to be caught by Larry Fitzgerald. And look at his power and strength. Took it in around the 29, was eventually tackled around the 34. And that'll be a Cardinal first down after a 13-yard gain. Fitzgerald was held well in check through about the first quarter and a half of this game. Cardinals going to hurry things up in deference to the 24-point deficit. First and 10 from his 34. Warner from the shotgun. Here come the Saints on the blitz. He throws, and it's incomplete for Doucette. He was hit immediately as he tried to take that football in at the 40-yard line by Tracy Porter.
Well, you know, just a complete turnaround of last week's game. Kurt Warner had more touchdown passes than he had incompletions. And today, I think you're seeing with the pressure that the Saints are getting. And, of course, he's kind of fighting an injury right now as well. He's having a couple of drop balls, but just a whole different scenario from last week for him.
Warner, who was leveled by Bobby McRae and left the game in the second quarter, has returned. Second and 10 from his 34. Warner with time, guns it upfield, and is incomplete. Larry Fitzgerald hit from behind by Darren Sharper right at midfield. Couldn't hold on to the football.
And that's something you won't see very often. I mean, you know, Larry Fitzgerald was pretty well uncontested right there. Now, once the ball hits his hands, Darren Sharper comes up and lays a lick on him. But Larry Fitzgerald, one of the more sure-handed receivers you'll ever see.
Arizona just 1 of 4 in third down conversions. Looking at 3rd and 10 here from their 34. Crowd rises as 1. Warner operating almost exclusively from the shotgun now. Bresson and Fitzgerald to the near side of the field. Fitzgerald goes in motion left to right, 1 of 3 to that side. Warner with time, throws over the middle, caught by Fitzgerald, but he'll be taken down well short of the first down, up at the 38-yard line. The Saints doing a good job of limiting him to a 4-yard gain. Jabari Greer on the coverage.
Well, you've seen a lot of routes today that the Cardinals have run that all started back in the Washington Redskins game, where they were throwing a lot of those drag routes to receivers over the middle. And then Dallas did it, and Carolina did it. Teams started picking up on that. The Saints have now adjusted to that pretty well.
And on comes Ben Graham to punt it away on 4th and 6 from the Cardinal 38-yard line. Snap back to the left-footed booter. The end-over-end effort will be taken in by Reggie Bush at the 18-yard line. Running to his right now, cutting it upfield. He's got room. He's up to the 40, 45, midfield 50. Running down the near sideline. Graham won't even contest him. Bye-bye birdies. Good for 83 yards. Reggie.
Well, he is having the game of his career today, and he actually, that end-over-end kick, like I said, I think he handles it better. And once he got some space, the Cardinals players, they actually just kind of ran past him. And when he saw the crease, it was absolute, I'm out of here.
Man, what a great move he made on one down. It was Leach, the deep snapper. Put a great move on Leach, and once he slipped him and brought him to his knees with the move, he was never touched, never contested. Nobody in his wake as he takes it down 83 yards for the punt return touchdown. All year long, we've been wondering when he was going to break loose. His longest had just been 23 yards during the regular season, an average of 4.8, but an 83-yard touchdown return for Reggie Bush here today to go along with a 46-yard scamper out of the backfield back in the first quarter. My, oh my, Reggie Bush has done it all today. Hartley adds the extra point, and the carnage continues. With 6:42 to play in the third quarter, it is now the Saints 45 and the Cardinals 14.
And let's go right down to Kristian Garrick for our River Paris Disposal Safe Sideline Report. Kristian, what you got, man?
A very exhausted Reggie Bush goes over to the special teams coach of the Saints, Greg McMahon, and says, "That's for you." Of course, Greg McMahon kind of, had a rough year this year, covering punts, covering kicks, and returning punts. So he ran over to him and said, "That's for you."
83-yard punt return touchdown for Bush, the third longest in NFL postseason history.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, there was an article in the paper today that said Reggie Bush could be the X factor in this ball game with him being completely healthy, that, you can use him in the running game, use him in the passing game, and now his return skills have definitely shown up this evening. So Reggie Bush, I don't know who wrote that. I think it was Nakia Hogan that wrote that article in the paper. But, boy, he must have had a crystal ball or something, because Reggie is putting on a show today.
Man, he is. He visited with Brad Pitt along the sideline prior to the game, and he's putting on an Academy Award performance here today. All year long, I've referred to Reggie Bush as the ultimate tease, because he'll do something of great athletic ability one moment and then do 4 or 5 things that make you wonder if he ever played the game before. But his head is in the game today, and he looks faster than anybody out there by far.
Well, and Graham, the punter, didn't even try and tackle him. He said, "Why pull a hamstring trying to chase somebody I can't catch?"
Another Morstead kickoff will be taken in the end zone, 3 yards deep, and kneeling is Stevens Howling. And the Cardinals will start from their 20 once more. Well, for all the people, at least thus far, who might have second-guessed Sean Payton for resting people in Carolina, for calling off the Dogs a bit against Tampa, I think he's had this scenario in mind for a long, long time, and that's he knew what kind of talent he had, and if he could just bring this team into the postseason at full strength, they were going to be a snootful for anybody, and they have been today for the Cardinals.
Yes, they have, and Kristian even mentioned it in a pregame. He said that Sean Payton knows his team, and those guys are getting work every day at practice. It's not like he's sitting them because they're not going to start the Carolina game.
Well, Warner had his work cut out for him now, and on first down throws a little dump off to the near sideline to Hightower, and he is ridden down after a 5-yard gain. The Saints up by 31 points, 45-14.
Well, if you just want to know what Reggie Bush has done today, 5 carries, 84 yards, and a touchdown. 3 receptions for 16 yards. 3 punt returns for 109 yards and a touchdown. 11 touches, 209 yards, and 2 TDs.
2nd and 5 from the 25-yard line. Smith bears down on Warner, who throws it upfield, caught by Fitzgerald up to the 41-yard line. That'll be a first down as he's ridden down by Tracy Porter, a 16-yard gain. Fitzgerald is so big and so smooth with just great hands.
I mean, Jim, it looks like he's catching a basketball out there. It's just effortless the way he puts up his hands and snatches a football.
1st and 10 for the Cardinals from their 41-yard line. 5:44 to play third quarter, 45-14 Saints. Warner, as the Saints bring 4, throws near sideline, reception made by Early Doucette, out of bounds in front of the Saint bench, just short of midfield. That'll be an 8-yard gain.
Well, you're going to start getting plenty of this right now. And Kurt Warner's going to sit there and he's going to bait you in the jumping them short routes, and then providing that his chest is all right and he can air one out, you can be looking for something coming like that pretty soon.
Early Doucette coming of age in the absence of Anquan Bolden, who was unable to play today with ankle and knee injuries. 2nd and 2 for the Cardinals from their 49. Preston in motion left to right. Warner stands in the shotgun as he has done so often here today. Warner steps up and now throws it over the middle. Catch made by Fitzgerald, and he is chased to the sideline by Shanley, forced out of bounds on the far sideline at the Saint 37-yard line. A gain of 13 and a Cardinal first down.
Well, even right there, I mean, the Saints are still getting some pressure on Warner. You force him up to step in the pocket, but again, you can't go to sleep on Larry Fitzgerald, because when he's running that drag route right there, he's going to be matched against a linebacker, and he'll win that battle every time.
Jeff Charleston, Anthony Hargrove, and Will Smith, the front three. Warner going to throw, and it's caught. Far sideline, Breston knocked out of bounds. They'll spot the football at the Saint 17-yard line. Roman Harper on the coverage. That's a 20-yard gain as the Cardinals move it right downfield with 4.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter, though they trail by 31 points. They make a change and bring in Stevens Howling and split him out wide to the left along with Breston. Fitzgerald and Doucette wide right. 1st and 10 at the Saints 17. Warner looks left, throws, catch made. Ridden down at the 10-yard line will be Steve Breston. Never did go down as the Saints collar him and stand him up. That'll be another 7-yard gain. So the Saints sitting back with a comfortable lead, but Kurt Warner in no hurry, surgically moving them downfield. And he looks at now 2nd and 3 from the Saint 10. 2 to his left, 2 to the right. Hightower stands in the backfield with him. Warner steps up in the pocket, and as he's hit, delivers the football incomplete. The pressure by Will Smith. And the intended receiver, I believe, was early Doucette. He was close to the football. And the incompletion stops the clock with 3:23 to play, third quarter. Saints with 10 more points here in the third quarter, running their 35-14 halftime lead to 45-14. That's Warner's first incompletion in 8 attempts most recently. 3rd and 3 from the 10, and Warner's up under center. Hightower behind him, takes the pitch right side, fumbles it, picks it back up, and he still runs briskly up the sideline. We'll see where they give him forward progress before he stepped out of bounds. He'll be short of the first down. They say that he did so right at the 10-yard line.
So basically it's about a no gain on the play, but I mean, he actually he made one heck of a play out of that whole thing after dropping the pitch, and then was able to get the ball upfield. And from our vantage point, it almost looked like he had picked up the first down, but he stepped out at the 10.
They'll go for it on 4th and 3. They are 5 out of 9 for 56% on 4th down during the regular season. Saints opponents converted 11 of 24 during the regular season, 46%. 4th and 2 from the 9-yard line of the Saints. Warner, half rollout to the right, now throws over the middle, incomplete. Intended for Breston and Jabari Greer on the coverage. And so the football goes over to the Saints.
Well, Jabari Greer really playing good since he's come back. And there again, one of the few times in this drive that the Saints had put pressure on Kurt Warner, and he had to throw it away early.
2:46 to play, third quarter. Saints 45 and the Cardinals 14. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network. And let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
The news, talk, and sports leader. The Big 870 WWL New Orleans, 105.3 WWL FM Kenner, New Orleans, and WWL.com.
After holding on 4th down, the Saints begin offensively. 1st and 10 from their 10. Mike Bell checks in as the tailback. He gets the call, and he'll be brought down after a short gain up around the 12-yard line, running right side.
And let's go right down to Kristian Garrick for a rear repairs disposal Saints sideline report.
Hokie, you hear athletes talk all the time about being in the zone or feeling it a little bit. Well, Will Smith coming off the field on that fourth down play, which the Saints defense held, screaming, they can't block me. They can't block me.
Well, he doesn't have a sack yet today. The Saints have had a lot of pressure, but they've only dropped Warner once, and officially that went to Cedric Ellis. But he has applied the pressure, and they have made Warner field their pass rush despite only sacking him once. After a gain of 2 on second down, Saints set up a screen left side. Pierre Thomas, he is up to the 20-yard line before he is taken down, just short of the first down, it would appear, after a 7-yard gain. We are in the final 2 minutes of the third quarter, a quarter in which the Saints have scored 10 unanswered points, a 43-yard Hartley field goal, and an 83-yard scintillating punt return touchdown by Reggie Bush.
Well, I think the Saints are going to ask for the chains to be brought out, maybe give Sean Payton and Drew Brees a moment or two, just kind of decide, exactly what they want to do here. But I'm with you, Jim. I think it's going to be about 6-8 inches short. If that, no, he actually got it.
Yeah, just by the nose of the football.
Yeah.
So the Saints got a very good spot. And we'll have an opportunity to move the chains and run some more clock here. It shows 1:46 remaining in the third quarter. The Saints are on top 45-14.
Well, since that play was on the other side of the field, when you say, well, they got a favorable spot, he was close, but I just kind of thought that the yard marker was right on the 20-yard line, and I didn't think the nose of the ball got there. But, heck, who am I to sit there and argue with that? You don't ever thump a free melon.
Never thump a free melon. That's always been sort of your credo in life, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, you haven't gotten many free melons either.
Because I used to thump them.
1st and 10 from the 20-yard line of the Saints. Hand off to the tailback, Pierre Thomas. Runs into a big stack of Cardinals. Gets what he can up to around the 25-yard line. And we have 1:16 remaining in the third quarter. Carlos Dansby on the stop. That is a 5-yard gain. And Thomas a little gimpy as he gets up. And he's going to come to the sideline.
That looks like an ankle. That's not his ribs right there.
Now favoring his right leg. So the Saints are down to Mike Bell, Lionel Hamilton, and Reggie Bush as running backs. And Thomas comes to the sideline to have that injury looked at, and Reggie Bush replaces him in the backfield. 2nd and 5 for the Saints from their 25. Breeze, 5-step drop, throws near sideline, sliding reception is made by Devery Henderson beyond the 30-yard line, and that should be another first down for the Saints, and it is a 5-yard reception.
And that'll take you to the end of the quarter. I mean, you're going to switch ends of the field right now. Kristian mentioned just a moment ago about, well, let's go down to Kristian. Kristian, what you got?
Yeah, Pierre Thomas almost refusing treatment or refusing a look from the Saints training staff on that ankle. He's shaking his head, telling him, no, I'm fine. So it looks like he's going to be all right.
The 45 points scored by the Saints are the second most in an NFC Divisional playoff game in the history of the current playoff format. It began in 1990, and we have 15 minutes remaining. 15 minutes separating the Saints from a berth in the NFC Championship game and a chance to host it. After 3 quarters, Saints 45 and the Cardinals 14. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
This broadcast is presented by the authority of the National Football League, is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this broadcast without the express written consent of the New Orleans Saints of the National Football League is strictly prohibited. And this disclaimer was brought to you by the lawyers of Stanley Reuter, Ross Thornton, and Alford, business litigators for New Orleans and the Gulf South region.
Give you the third quarter totals right after the Saints run their first play, moving it right to left on the first play of the fourth quarter. 1st and 10 from the New Orleans 30. Backs in an eye. Tailback gets the call. This is Lionel Hamilton. And he's brought down after a short gain to around the 33-yard line by Monty Beisel. Through 3 quarters, Arizona 14 first downs, the Saints 24. 90 rushing yards for the Cardinals, 140 for the Saints. Arizona 244 yards passing, 233 for New Orleans. 334 to 373, the Saints on top in total yardage. And a pretty big disparity in time of possession, 25-28 to 19-32 in favor of the Saints. And all the big plays, apart from the Tim Hightower 70-yard touchdown run to begin this game, have belonged to New Orleans. Breeze hoping to make another. He rolls to his right, scampers away from a sack, throws it, and it's tipped by Robinson, the nose tackle, who had dropped off and trying to take an angle on Drew Brees, who couldn't find anybody downfield, did escape the sack. He has not been sacked today.
Well, Jim, and the way this game started out, we didn't know we'd be able to nibble on anything up here, but I'd like to thank the Cub Scouts at Pack 365 in Slidell for our delicious array of popcorn that they sent up here for us today. So, guys, at Pack 365, we appreciate your help, and we've had time to enjoy it.
And we anticipate having it again next week because it's brought the Saints good luck and us good luck through 3 quarters. Saints leading at 45-14. 3rd and 7 from the New Orleans 33, and Brees calls timeout with the play clock winding down. 14:15 to play. Saints 45, Cardinals 14. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
News, talk, and sports leader, WWL.
Let's go right down to Kristian Garrick with the River Parish Disposal Saints Sideline Report. What you got, Kristian?
Yeah, Pierre Thomas shaken up earlier, limped off the field a little bit with an ankle injury. He's up moving around. He's fine. Didn't even seek treatment really from the Saints training staff, so he should be all right. I would imagine, though, with the score the way it is, I wouldn't imagine seeing him just because they don't want to push the envelope there.
3rd and 7 for the Saints from the New Orleans 33. Brees in the shotgun. Reggie Bush standing to his left. 2 receivers to either side. They set up a screen to Bush. Blockers in front, up to the 40-yard line, scrambles up to the 41. That'll be a Saint first down. Reggie Bush showing more elusiveness, speed, and awareness than we've seen out of him all season long. That's 8 yards and a Saints first down.
Well, today's game is brought to you by SouthCoastSolar.com. Dependable, renewable energy. And I tell you what, I mean, I take my hat off to the guy. He's had a lot of times this season and years past where we've criticized his decision-making. He outruns his blockers. He's always trying to make the big play. Today, he has been about as north and south as I've ever seen him, and has paid off tremendously.
1st and 10 Saints at their 41, 13:33 to play. 4th quarter, Saints on top 45-14. Handed off to the tailback, Pierre Thomas back in there. He is stacked up short of the New Orleans 45. Short gain for Pierre Thomas, but back in the lineup anyway, and none the worse for wear, it would appear.
Yeah, but I mean, for a guy that whatever it was, an ankle or knee, when he come limping off the field after his last carry, pretty nifty move he made right there in the backfield to avoid contact.
3-yard gain. Robert Meacham comes in to replace Marcus Colston. Meacham has been held in check today. Not many other Saints have. He is split out wide to the right, backs in an eye. Tailback is Thomas on 2nd and 7 from the New Orleans 44. Handoff Thomas, right side. Pierre Thomas with second effort is beyond the 50 and into Cardinal territory, and it appears just short of the first down. But Pierre Thomas talking this week about how famous he was in Illinois for yards after contact, and that is his specialty. That is a 6-yard gain.
And he's not a big back. I mean, he's just got he's powerfully built. I mean, at 5'10" is probably what he is. 215, 218 pounds, but all of his strength is in his lower body, and you can see that when he hits a pile.
He's carried it 13 times for 52 yards. 3rd and 1 for the Saints at midfield. Lionel Hamilton is the running back. Hamilton has the first down, squirting through a bit of a crevice down to the 45-yard line of the Cardinals, who are getting beaten up right now at the line of scrimmage. That's a 5-yard gain, and this is when you got to love to be a running back and an offensive lineman.
Well, you remember what Kristian said a while ago when Will Smith said, you know, hey, I'm feeling it. I'm in the groove. I'm in the zone, and they can't block me. The offensive line is starting to say that right now. They can't stop us. I mean, they know we're going to run the ball. We got 1 back there and 2 tight ends. You know that we're coming straight at you, and they just can't seem to stop you.
1st and 10 Saints at the 45-yard line of the Cardinals. The Saints have rushed for 157 yards in this game. 11:15 to play. Saints on top 45-14. Lionel Hamilton right side, and Hamilton bursting through a hole, and he'll have the first down as he takes it inside the 35 down to the 34-yard line. That is a pickup of 11.
Well, I mean, how do you think Drew Brees feels knowing that every time he steps in the huddle, we're calling a running play, and I'm picking up 5 yards, 6 yards, 11 yards like on that carry right there for Hamilton, and he kind of loses his footing right there at the end. He's a little bit disgusted with himself that maybe he thought he should have popped that out of the back end, but I'm telling you, this is one of the greatest feelings in the world in offense when people know you're going to run it and they can't stop it.
Hamilton's carried 4 times for 20 yards and a touchdown. That came back in the first quarter and was the Saints' first of the day. This is Mike Bell, and is he hit. He is absolutely drilled by Calais Campbell, but holds on to the football after a 1-yard gain.
Well, I'm not sure whether it was Bushrod or Carl Nix that missed that over there on that side, but they'll hear a little something about it. You don't let a guy come that clean, and I know, right now the Saints are in a situation where they're just grinding out yardage and everything else, but you pop a back pretty hard like that, somebody say, hey, we got things going. We're on a roll running the football. You can't let somebody come scot-free.
No gain on the play, brings up 2nd and 10 at the 34. The Saints milking every second off the play clock. And the game clock shows under 10 minutes to play. 2nd and 10, New Orleans from the Cardinal 34, keeping it on the ground with Bell. And Bell carries a tackler with him for a short gain to the 31 of Arizona. 9.5 minutes to play. Clark Hagan's on the stop.
We got a player down on the field. Let's go right down to Kristian Garrett.
Yeah, no, it's just they're just putting on his shoe of Jari Evans, and all the running backs. The Cardinals are clawing and scratching at the ball. All the running backs are going through the line of scrimmage with both hands on the football, recognizing that. And the Cardinals know they need a turnover in the worst way.
They need a few of them in the worst way right now as they trail by 31 points, 45-14. 9 minutes to play. Looks like Breeze will call a timeout here with 1 second remaining on the play clock.
Timeout.
8 minutes and 59 seconds separate the Saints from hosting the NFC Championship game. 45-14 New Orleans. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
Again, the Saints just eating up the clock out there as they took that timeout. This current drive that they're on, 14 plays, 59 yards, 7 minutes and 47 seconds off the clock. Had 9 rushes, 5 passes, and the last 6 plays that they have run have been on the ground.
3rd and 7 from the Cardinal 31. Pierre Thomas, the running back, play action to him. Breeze with time, throws it out of the backfield to Thomas, and he's banged out of bounds in front of the Saints bench at the 25-yard line. They'll be close to the first down.
Yeah, it's going to depend exactly where they mark it at. It looks like it's right on the 25. If that's the case, he's going to be a little less than a yard shy.
Yeah, Ron Winter, the referee, was signaling that it's about a yard short. That's a 6-yard pickup. Clock continues to run and has 8:45 on it. Saints have 45 points on the scoreboard to the Cardinals 14. Cardinals led 7-0, trailed 21-7 after the first quarter, 35-14 at halftime, and 45-14 going to the fourth quarter. Running it on the end around to David Thomas, and Thomas,
he stretched it out. I don't know if he got it. I don't know if they gave him a good spot.
Well, that's reaching deeply into your playbook for something the Saints haven't done in quite some time, and running it with David Thomas with 8:22 to play. The Saints have turned the football over on downs to the Cardinals, and we will step away with 8:22 remaining in this game. It's the Saints 45 and the Cardinals 14. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
Bobby Hebert's blog and exclusive Saints stories at WWL.com.
Saints resting a lot of their starters here, and Kurt Warner has had enough. Who knows whether that's the last time that he's been on the field earlier in this quarter as the quarterback of the Cardinals and in the National Football League, because Matt Leinart has relieved him and hands the football off. Presley on the tackle of Tim Hightower. Presley, one of a number of Saint reserves in there defensively. That's a 5-yard gain.
Well, Jim, the only starter that the Saints have in there is Roman Harper. You got Malcolm Jenkins, you got Pearson Prelude, you got Marvin Mitchell, you got Troy Evans. You mentioned the defensive line. I mean, everybody is a backup, a substitute.
2nd and 5 from his 30 for Liner, who throws over the middle, and the ball's dropped by Doucette. Would have been short of the first down anyway. Clock is stopped with 7:46 remaining. So Kurt Warner, apparently done for the day, took a beating, was 17 of 26 for 205 yards. He was intercepted once by Will Smith, a play in which Bobby McRae decked Warner, causing him to leave the game. Through the final minutes of the second quarter, he returned but was ineffectual in the third for the most part. Fitzgerald 6 receptions, 77 yards. Doucette 6 for 54. Here's Liner to throw down the middle, and it's incomplete. Almost intercepted by Pearson Prelo. One of those many Saint reserves getting an opportunity to play. Steve Breston was the intended target. And so it's 4th and 4 for the Cardinals. And the defense getting a big round of applause from Saints fans here. As on comes Ben Graham to punt it away once more. Reggie Bush would like another. And stands back at the 25-yard line awaiting Graham's effort. The fans wouldn't mind that either. Another end-over-end punt by Graham. Bush calls for the fair catch and takes it in at the 28-yard line.
Nothing in the world wrong with doing that for Reggie Bush. You know what? Look, game's in hand. Let me just make the fair catch, and we get ready to play next week.
42-yard punt, 7:31 remaining. Fourth quarter, Saints 45, and the Cardinals 14. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network. 37 yards and 3 touchdowns. Has not been sacked. Has not been intercepted. 1st and 10 New Orleans from their 27. 7.5 minutes to play. Saints up 45-14. Mike Bell, the tailback, gets the call. Bell struggles away from one tackler, but now the second. He'll be dropped. Might be a small loss on the play. Mike Bell has not been the back that he was earlier in the season. Not all the fault of his. There hasn't been a lot of running room, but just not quite as powerful as he was earlier in the year.
Well, you know, and again, Jim, I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't use him earlier in the game. Remember, we talked about it. Reggie Bush was in there, Pierre Thomas, and we mentioned that Mike Bell is the kind of back that the more he carries the ball, the better he gets. And, you know, he's just not a fast starter, and he didn't get a chance to really play in the first quarter at all.
Loses a yard there. It's 2nd and 11 from the Saint 26. Bell remains in there. Gets the call right side, runs directly into 3 Cardinals who pick him up and drive him backward, and he throws the ball down in disgust because once more, no gain on the play. Bell has really been kept in check. They'll call it 3rd and 10 from the 27-yard line.
Well, and this is a real difficult situation to be in when you're back. I mean, earlier the Saints are moving the ball down the field. That little reverse they did to David Thomas, I didn't agree with that because you'd been running the ball north and south, and why would you come up with a wrinkle that way? But, you know, it ain't like the Cardinals are sitting there going, you know, Drew Brees is going to drop back now and do a flea flicker.
Lionel Hamilton is now the tailback on 3rd and 10 from his 27. Run it right with Hamilton, and he'll be driven to the turf right around the 30-yard line, and so the Saints will bring on Thomas Morstead and punt the football away after a 3-yard gain, but the clock continues to run and shows 5 minutes and 45 seconds separating this team from a chance to host the NFC Championship game here a week from tomorrow. And doesn't that sound great?
Boy, it does. And, you know, this will be the first NFC Championship game ever to be played in the Dome. Did you know that?
You know, it's nuggets like that. That's why we have you up here.
Pearls of wisdom. Well, got to find something to say at the end of this game. I mean, the way this whole thing started out, you and I thought we'd be on pins and needles the entire game. And, you know, man, looking up numbers here and there. Well, we kind of are because we're trying to find out who some of the backup players are for both teams.
With the play clock winding down, the Saints will call timeout. Thomas Morstead doing the honors. 5:11 to play. And right now, I guess what you have to think about, too, is how healthy are the Saints going to be for next week? Because I think we can safely say with 5 minutes and 11 seconds remaining, and the Saints up by 31, and Kurt Warner sitting on the bench for Arizona, that we can look ahead to next week. We'll have to check on Jeremy Shockey's condition. He didn't do much after the first quarter. Hasn't been in the lineup in the second half that I've seen. Pierre Thomas momentarily was hurt, but other than that, it doesn't appear that the Saints thus far have suffered any debilitating injuries.
No, the only other thing I got is Eckel, the fullback. He came out with one play kind of with a hand injury, but he's a fullback. He's the only role he plays in your offense is basically to be a blocker. So you put a pad on that and he'll be fine with that. So I would have to say overall, unless there's something goofy that happened that we didn't see, that the Saints came out of this, with the exception of Hokie, because he was limping a little bit after halftime, just exactly maybe what is the status of his knee.
They didn't have one of the kicking balls in there, so they've had to hold up play and get it from the sideline. And now they're taking it back to the line of scrimmage, which is the Saint 30-yard line. And Thomas Morstead prepares to punt the football away to Steve Breston. Morstead, the rookie, who's done such a wonderful job this year, both as a punter and as a kickoff specialist. He hangs this one very, very high. Breston calls for the fair catch, takes it over his shoulder around the 19-yard line. A 50-yard punt by Thomas Morstead. Nothing on the return. 5:04 on the clock. Matt Leinart on the field. Fans on their feet. And we said prior to the kickoff of this game, let's get the party started. Let's keep the party going.
Yep, and let's go right down to Kristian Garrick with a River Parish Disposal Saints sideline report.
Yeah, some of the signs that are being held up by the Who Dat Nation now. Start fast, 13-3, finish strong, 3-0. Well, now they got one down, so 2 more.
Finish strong has been one of the mottos of this football team. You're wearing a shirt that says the same.
Well, look, if Drew Brees and Jonathan Vilma ask the fans to do something, I think that it's my responsibility to do the same thing as well. Got my wife Judy a T-shirt, got myself a T-shirt. She looks a hell of a lot better than hers than I do in mine, but that's beside the point.
Without question.
But I've got the our city, our home, with the fleur-de-lis on the middle of it, and finish strong on the back.
1st and 10 from his 20-yard line for Matt Leinart. He'll hand it off to Beanie Wells, making a reappearance in this game, and Wells stays in bounds conveniently. Tackled by Jeff Charleston, one of the many Saint reserves getting an opportunity to play here. As Hokie mentioned, Roman Harper and Tracy Porter, I see him on the right corner, are the only starters on the defense still out there. That's a 3-yard gain by Beanie Wells, who had a 4-yard touchdown run back in the second quarter to make it 21-14 Saints, as close as the Cardinals got. Here's Leinart throwing over the middle. Doucette drops short of the 30-yard line. Malcolm Jenkins, along with Marvin Mitchell, getting an opportunity to play for Jonathan Vilma on the tackle.
Today's game was delivered by the Satellite Center, the official transmission provider to the Saints Radio Network. Call the Satellite Center at 504-888-DISH to broadcast your sports network.
7-yard gain and a first down at the 30-yard line of the Cardinals. 4 minutes remaining in this game. Saints up 45-14. Cardinals are going to keep it on the ground with Beanie Wells, and he'll be dropped after a short gain to around the 32-yard line. So the Cardinals just want to get on this plane and get home and look ahead to their off season. You know, you had to think all week long, how much did that game last week take out of these guys with a short week, a travel day? And I understand the plane ride in here yesterday was very bumpy for the Cardinals.
Right.
And no bumpier than their road here in the Superdome today. But this is a team that right now is about ready to call it a day. There's a tip pass at the line of scrimmage, but still a Doucette catch just short of the 40-yard line of Arizona.
And, Jim, you know, I don't know, some people are going to say that's excuses or whatever else, but look where the Arizona Cardinals have come from since Ken Whisenhunt became the head coach. I mean, I think this team, and the Cardinals are a team that had not gotten a whole lot of respect in a lot of years, even when they were in St. Louis, and once they got out to Arizona. Remember, we were out there one time when they were having the big vote on whether they should have the tax bill so they could build a new stadium. So I'll tell you what, I think he's done one heck of a job with the Cardinals. 3rd and 1, and Wells is hit in the backfield and dropped by Anthony Hargrove. Stumbled taking the handoff from Leinart. Brings up 4th down, and Leinart just walks to the sideline. This is a team that is signaling no mas. Well, and so is Sean Payton, because Lance Moore is going back to receive this punt, which is a smart thing to do. And Tell you what, you've got to be pretty impressed with the way the Saints came out today. There was a lot of speculation where they're going to be rusty and so many people complaining that they rested their starters too long. Well, it's all worked out perfect to the Sean Payton plan.
Graham punts the football out of bounds on the far sideline. The official will walk up and determine that it went out of bounds at the Saint 29-yard line. We have 2 minutes and 8 seconds remaining. And the fans back on their feet once more, giving an ovation to this football team that's on its way to the NFC Championship game. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
The news, talk, and sports leader. The Big 870 WWL New Orleans, 105.3 WWL FM Kenner, New Orleans, and WWL.com.
Saints in that 3-game losing streak had a hard time converting third downs, getting off the field on third downs defensively. Arizona was just 1 of 8 in third down conversions today. Drew Brees will kneel to send this clock to the 2-minute warning, send the fans to their feet with the Saints on their way to the NFC Championship game.
And at the 2-minute warning, here's your warning from the Louisiana Partners for Highway Safety, reminding everybody to buckle up.
45-14, the black and gold. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
The lawyers at Stanley, Reuter, Ross, Thornton, and Alford know the value of academic excellence. That's why they're sponsoring their Partners for Education initiative to support local schools. Listen to Rayleigh Alford.
Every child deserves a high-quality education, and we started our Partners for Education initiative to promote excellence in local schools. We're proud of the Saints' outstanding performance, and we're also proud to continue our initiative by making a donation this week to International High School of New Orleans.
Stanley, Reuter, Ross, Thornton, and Alford, business litigators for New Orleans and the Gulf South region.
Hurry to Verizon Wireless for great 3G smartphones under $100, like the new BlackBerry Curve. Right now, buy one for $79.99 after a $100 mail-in rebate debit card and get a second one free. Get America's largest 3G network with more 3G coverage than AT&T. Visit Verizon Wireless, VerizonWireless.com, or call 1-800-2JOIN-IN. Both phones require new 2-year activation on a voice plan with email feature. Early termination and other fees apply. Coverage details at VerizonWireless.com.
Spend Mardi Gras at Hotel Monteleone in the French Quarter, New Orleans. Hotel Monteleone, a historic, award-winning hotel and home of the Carousel Bar. Pete Fountain's Half-Fast Marching Club will march into the Hotel Monteleone Fat Tuesday, February 16th, around 12 noon. Room rates for Mardi Gras February 11th through February 17th start at just $229. Call 1-800-535-9595 or log on to hotelmonteleone.com for details. Room rates exclude tax and based on availability.
Listen more, know more. The news, talk, and sports leader. WWL.
Safeties Adrian Wilson along with Roman Harper hugging one another because Harper gets a chance to play offense. At least that's the way to look in the box score, as he's the safety man back there as the Saints intend to kneel out the final 2 minutes of this game.
Well, Jim, there were no challenges this half. But if there would have been, you could sign up for First Bank and Trust totally free checking this week at any of our branches to get a Saints debit card and a free Saints tailgating chair. First Bank and Trust, official banking partner of the New Orleans Saints.
Brees kneels on second down. It brings up 3rd and 11. You know, the Saints were the #1 seed, the Vikings the 2nd seed. Each got last week off. Each had an opportunity to host a divisional game, and yet I think the fans of those two teams were as worried as any fans around the NFL, considering how the Cowboys played last week, how the Cardinals played last week, and the fact that each of their teams had closed the season on a down note.
Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely justified. Now, I didn't get a chance to watch the Cardinals-Packers game last week, and I was coming back from my hunting trip, but I listened to the entire game, and I mean, you know, even on the radio, it looked like a tennis match. I mean, just going back and forth, and as the week went on, you know, I kind of started like, man, you know, this Cardinals team, especially what they've been able to do in the playoffs and all the upsets and everything else, they are a formidable opponent. And I don't know, you know, I mean, obviously that game last week going into overtime, as emotional and physical as it was, it took a lot out of them. They had the flight in, had to work on 1 day's less rest, all that kind of stuff. But again, I've got to hand it to Sean Payton and his staff that they knew what they were doing when they rested their players, and because these guys looked as sharp today as they did at any point in time in this season, and that includes a lot of those early games against the Patriots, against the Giants. This is about as sharp as I've seen the Saints look.
Sean Payton will be 2-0 in the divisional round, beating Philadelphia here after the 2006 season, and then having to go on the road and play in Chicago in very difficult conditions, being deprived of their first ever trip to the Super Bowl. Now they will host the NFC Championship game as the Saints kneel out the remaining time and bring it down to 20 seconds and call a timeout, enabling their fans to give a standing ovation to some of the reserves who are coming off the field right now, along with their offense, Sean Payton, and bringing on Thomas Morstead.
Well, let me tell you something. A lot of those reserves were playing there at the tail end of the game. That's something I never got the privilege to do in a 7-year NFL career, was play in a playoff game. Some of those Saints players got that opportunity.
Morstead to punt it away once more. Steve Breston belatedly comes on the field. He had been pretty much on his way to the locker room. This is a wobbly effort by Morstead. His worst of the day goes out of bounds in front of the Saint bench.
All Morstead's looking for right there is just get rid of it. Don't let somebody block it and, blemish this whole thing as far as getting a punt blocked at the end, something like that. Just get rid of it. I don't care where it goes, but, that's the right thing to do.
Didn't go far. 29 yards. 14 seconds remain on the clock. And listen to the crowd standing on their feet. A lot of people have headed for the exits and probably a nearby watering hole. This is going to be a long, happy night in New Orleans.
Yes, it will.
Matt Leinart up under center. We'll run it one more time with Hightower. Or check that. I think that was Jason Wright who got the chance to carry the football. As the final seconds come off the clock here in the Superdome, and the road to the Super Bowl continues to be through New Orleans in the NFC.
Well, I'll tell you what, if the Saints play like this next weekend, the road to Miami will be I-10 to I-whatever going down there. And
I-75.
And the Saints will be on that bus because it's a pretty dominating performance that they put out there today. And Robert Carroll just reminded us tomorrow, holiday, Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. A lot of people going to have tomorrow off. I think I just might go home and celebrate too.
Well, the Saints offensive line posing as one in front of Saints team photographer Michael Hebert, and they did a terrific job today of keeping the Arizona Cardinals off Drew Brees, and they opened up some big holes in the running game as well. An incredible game for Reggie Bush and Tom Benson down on the field with wife Gail, accepting the plaudits of these fans and enjoying this day probably as much as any he has ever enjoyed as the owner of the New Orleans Saints, and with the prospect that even greater days remain ahead.
Yeah, well, you just got one more hurdle to clear, and that's the one next week. And I mean, look, I give Mr. Benson all the credit in the world. So.
And all the credit in the world goes to this football team as well. The end of our game today shows the final score of the Saints 45 and the Cardinals 14. We'll be back in 60 seconds on the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.